it down, I mean, you'd be including yourselves in that if you called me that.
Oh, we
That's
absolutely would
patently
be, but
false.
That's patently
well,
false because your acronym is
sorry.
DOE.
Yes, but
Well,
you
not
confuse the people listening.
No, we won't.
probably
Yeah,
not.
because no one's listening.
Well,
I mean, yeah, that's
mildly
the
because of
point.
that. But I mean, hey, LeMay shows up sometimes. Um, that's one person.
Ah, yes.
That's
Your
not
idle
nobody.
blood viewer.
Yeah, one is
We
bigger than zero.
we consistently have between 5 and 9 people in this voice chat as well.
True, true.
Yeah, that's fair. And are you
But you,
sure one is bigger than zero, Sneaky? Because I've heard 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4 anymore.
well, that's only if you're talking about atoms.
Ah, of course, only on the atomic level. Don't tell her about quarks.
Yeah, don't tell her about quarks. Oh
Fucking
god.
Porks.
Man, I hate midwits.
Yeah.
Feel like I'm
Just
missing
smart enough
out
to
on
get it
something
wrong.
here.
Yeah, so some dumbass fucking feminist, OnlyFans whore, decided that she was gonna write a book about why 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4, because, 2 people plus 2 people is actually billions of atoms.
How angry do you suppose this person would be if I go in with the very, very old Christian joke of 2 plus 2 equals fish?
Um, you know what?
Freeing and
Mixed
screaming.
bag. Mixed bag, honestly. Not really sure.
But she might not
Because,
understand it.
yeah, it would probably definitely go, it would 100% go over her head, because she wasn't even able to explain why 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4. She just kept defaulting to, yes, 2 plus 2 equals 4, but only on the atomic level.
Well,
Huh?
no, if you
Yeah.
just use a different numeral system, you also get.
Well,
Here you
no,
go,
no, no,
here's the
no, no.
video.
Yeah, so quite literally, what she's saying is that 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4 unless you're talking about atoms, because atoms are the smallest unit of measurement you can have for something that exists. So therefore, when you're trying to add 2 people plus 2 people, you're actually adding several billion atoms plus several billion atoms, and that clearly doesn't equal 4.
So essentially what she's doing is going, well, what if there are variables in the equation? And everybody else is sitting here going, no, motherfucker, the
And
equation is
it's
2 plus
not.
2.
Well,
You
it's not
you
even
outlined
that.
the equation. What do you what do you
Yeah,
mean?
no,
What is
no.
their variable? Then it's a different equation.
Yes. No,
Exactly.
it's the point that these sorts of people always fail on.
Oh,
It's honestly, it's that, you know what the funniest part is actually I can reference fanfiction with this.
oh
These
no.
people are the same sorts of people that write the Naruto No Powers 1940s AU, where Naruto is a mobster running a coffee shop and Sasuke is the new police officer on the roster, and they're actually gay lovers sharing an apartment. Um, these are the same
Sort of.
groups of people. They don't understand concepts.
Am I allowed to ban Sign for the dog shit he just posted?
No, because that is
No,
relevant to what we're talking about.
he was posting that for context for me, and
He still posted
my
it though. I feel
God.
like he's still culpable.
Really?
No, not really, but
You dick.
Jesus. Jesus, my
Yeah,
brain
it hurts
hurt.
the brain, doesn't it?
Only if someone would remove me of this sign.
I'm gonna.
I don't.
I think I'm just gonna go play Knights of the Republic.
You're right. She explained nothing. She
Yeah,
brought nothing to the table.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know she wrote a book that breaks it all down in simple everyday terms? Because if you wrote a book about it, Several books, in fact. One might hazard a guess that you might be able to possibly have a pre-prepared explanation for this.
Oh, but why would she do
One
that
would
when she
think.
could just say, "Look, you had to
I
buy
just
my book to understand it"?
Yeah, no, look, I get that part. Like, that's
mm,
classic shysterism, right?
Yes.
It's appeal to
I
authority, appeal to literature, um,
I'm the authority and I read
shysterism.
literature.
Yeah,
I hate it so much because it's
yeah.
like seriously,
Everything wrong with
she
American
could if
education.
well, okay, if she'd been actually been smart, she'd have pointed out that other numerical systems like binary, hex, like okay, you'd have a point there maybe,
Yeah.
but
Well,
that's because those are
technically,
just different ways of expressing a system. Like it still equals
well,
4. You're just using a different number to represent the 4.
yes, but I mean, technically speaking, a system that would involve a 2 in it would be a trinary at minimum. You can't make a binary
Just
system with 1 and 2 because you have to have something that represents nothing.
0 and 1 is why.
uh,
That's why they went with
yeah,
0 1.
that's oh, I was using that as the example. Like oh my god,
How
like
would a
age
different
old.
number
When,
system
when
affect the
does
ones place? Because 1 plus 1 in binary doesn't equal 1.
yeah,
It
like
equals 1, 0.
it's an old question that trips people if they don't know about other numerical systems. When does
If
10
I
equal
see dead
2?
people,
When it's binary.
Yeah.
or if I see dead people and you see dead people, how many people see dead people?
Right, but the point is that Phoenix was
Well, how many
asking
dead
how would
people?
different number
Mm,
systems affect the ones place. Specifically, it would only affect the ones place in binary. It wouldn't affect the ones place in any other numerical system. Yeah, it would affect the tens place. Yeah, exactly. Um,
Also, this is the other thing that people forget. It, like, trying to learn a different number system when everybody in the world uses base 10 is super hard and fucking weird because everything you know says that, right? If there was a system, if there's people out there that
I
use
mean, there really
base
only needs to be
2,
2
Well,
systems:
we have 2
binary,
systems.
binary, and base 10. I know, no, there
Base
is
10 and
base
base
7. Base
2.
7 exists, base 9 exists, and
Base
base
8, which
5
is base
exists.
2.
Yeah. So, like, there is other
mm.
systems out there that are used in very weird and super esoteric positions.
pretty
But pretty
much like
much, yeah,
only science, only like very specific science things.
yeah, base 8, yeah. Yeah, basically all you need to know is base 10. Base 10 makes the most sense in terms of counting. The reason why it makes the most sense in terms of counting for a human is because, well, obviously, we have
You
10
got
fingers.
10 digits,
And fingers.
motherfucker.
Yeah. The
Also
less
because that's
obvious.
the point at which digits start repeating.
Well,
Uh,
yes, but we can just make if we had a base 15 system where the numbers went up to 15 somehow without making a repeat symbol, that would just be how we would know. But the problem is that there's no real good way to represent a base 15 system because we don't have 15 digits to count on. We have 10 digits if you're counting on your hands, and you have 10 digits if you're counting on your feet. So it wouldn't really make much sense when the majority of people have 2 hands and 2 feet to count 1 foot and 2 hands, but not count the second foot. Like, that would just be weird. Which is why it doesn't happen.
yeah.
But point being, though, these people don't understand concepts, which is why they see no issue when they try and write things like no power AU Naruto shit. Why they see no issue in trying to argue why 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4 because of variables. They don't understand the concept they are dealing with because they don't understand concepts as a mode of thinking. I don't understand. This is a Naruto fanfic. It has Naruto in it, and he has blonde hair and blue eyes and, for some reason, whisker marks, even though there's no superpowers in this story. This is Naruto, obviously, because all they can see is the superficial, most fucking surface level thought of anything.
It's like dealing with an AI or an NPC.
Well, see, that's the funny thing, is that AI, even the large language models, are capable of seeing underneath surface level thoughts if they've been taught them.
Oh, so AI can do better than some humans.
Yes.
Pretty
Of
much.
course.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
I don't know
That's
why you're saying this
terrifying.
like it's a shock.
No, it's not a shock.
No, it's
Like I'm sorry to tell you this, Sign, but there's probably a good chunk of humanity that has less computational power than a simple calculator.
Yes.
That doesn't mean
I've
I have to
witnessed
like it or acknowledge it.
like
in first
Sign.
person.
You got to
But
remember,
no, just don't treat it like it's a surprise.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
This podcast represents people who are, at minimum,
Literate.
average, and I would say mostly above average on the intelligence scale, right? Like,
More or less.
Yeah,
Most of
with
us.
with the 5 Americans in here currently, we are technically above the average based on
Well,
the
no,
last
see,
year's recruitment
it's
cycle.
not just that, Max. It's,
Oh god.
I have talked with a lot of people. As shocking as this might come, being that I don't like going outside. I've worked in a lot of people-facing jobs, so I have gotten to speak with a vast number of people.
horrendous I found, but
Yeah. And so obviously these people range from everyone from the very stupid to fairly smart. And I've noticed a trend in where the smarter you are, I'm gonna say more open to criticism you are, but the more how to say it,
Willing to accept alternate viewpoints.
no, it's not even that.
It's not the
Being open to the
acknowledgement.
possibility that you're wrong.
Yes, the acknowledgement that criticism could exist, not the acceptance of it, but the idea that there might be something else they need to do.
I could be wrong, but I'm not.
Yes, yeah. Which I mean, unfortunately, that is the more common path of people who have some level of intelligence. Is I could be wrong, but I'm not, because I know more about this subject. And then it turns out
them
that
not knowing more generally, but
well, no, they do actually know more, which is why they're confident in being right, even when they're not. The midwits are the people who don't know more about the subject, don't realize that they don't know more about the subject, but are confident in knowing what they know being true. And the low wits are people who have no idea about the subject, but are still
also
confident they're
absolutely
right.
convinced they're right.
Yeah.
I love those types. It's like arguing with a brick wall.
Yes. They can't realize a story is like math. No, stories are literally math. They're giant equations.
I mean, it follows a formula, yes.
I'm being... Well, I mean, it's like how you can be like, yeah, 5 plus 10 equals 15, but then you can generate, like, literally an infinite number of stories involving how 5 got added to 10, ending up with 15 in the end. I went to the store, bought 5 watermelons, I had 10 at home, now I have 15 watermelons.
How many watermelons do I have? Too goddamn many.
The duality of Dunning-Kruger and imposter syndrome. True. Dude, that is so... It's rough. It's rough. But anyway, point being, though, is I've talked to a lot of people, and criticism is something I only see on the edges of the bell. The really stupid people criticize everything, but have no answers, of course. But the only answers they have are stupid answers that sometimes work because they're still around. Let's be clear here. The stupid people have an evolutionary prospect in where their stupid ideas do occasionally work.
Broken clock, right twice a day.
Effectively. The other end of the bell is more open to criticism because they're also aware that there's stuff they don't know. The middle of the bell hates criticism. Midwits hate criticism, and I've noticed this across the board. And it's not just they don't like being criticized, because people just don't like being criticized in general. It's they hate the idea of criticism in general, anyone being criticized by anyone. And the only thing I've ever seen
judge people.
Yeah, literally. The only thing I've ever seen overcome that dislike the shying away from criticism, the only thing I've seen overcome that is politics, effectively. Whether that's religious politics, racial politics, cultural politics, just politics. That's the only thing I've ever seen overcome someone's a midwit's fear of criticism. Is that?
Oh, they got a lot of criticism for politics.
The meme becomes way too accurate. No, absolutely 100%. Yeah, 100% Phoenix. That meme is true. And so it is very brutal to deal with midwits in anything ever, because the idea that someone could do better frightens them on a subconscious level. They can't even recognize why it frightens them.
It's like dealing with tech support. But I tried that. Yeah, well, I'm telling you to do it again. You may as well be performing arcane rituals.
Yeah. Let's put a group of authors on the meme. I put MHA authors around 85. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? The reality of it is, I think it's just got a lot more to do with the general acceptance people, right? Because people, how do I say this correctly, right? There are people who are just smart enough to know how dumb they are. I like to put myself in that camp. I recognize I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm never going to be the sharpest knife in the drawer. My friends in high school, those were the sharp knives, right? Those were the people who double major. They were like, oh yeah, I'm going to go double major in electrical and chemical engineering. And I make microchips I make the machines that make microchips, right? Super smart fucking people. I know that I am not those people, and I am never gonna be those people. But I loved hanging out with them because I was always learning new shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, for me, I'm not the ideas guy. I'm not the idea archetype for intelligence. I'm the leveraging archetype for intelligence. Put me in front of a fucking computer, and I'll figure out its issues and how to fix them eventually. But if you're gonna be like, hey, I need you to set up a network with a double netted firewall, I would just be like, I have no fucking idea what the words you just said to me are. But if you want me to fix the firewall that's already in place, again, I can do that. Setting one up, my brain is just like, pfft. There is no thoughts, head empty.
I promise it's not that hard.
Oh, I know. And then once you teach me, I pick it up very quickly and can then replicate it in the future, no problem. And then, fold that into my problem-solving skills for things that happen in the future. But I have to be... I have to be taught that. I am not the, I don't have the intelligence type that can just be like, fucking conjure.
I'll admit, modifying something in situ is way easier than conjuring, but yeah.
The other thing is that diligence is a way better trait to have than raw intelligence. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's high intelligence, low wisdom will forever fail. Because it doesn't matter how smart you are if you don't know how to use it. Literally my problem. What,
Yes.
being diligent?
Yeah. And the high int, low whiz build.
So that's why you have so many
freely
kids?
Admit it.
Yeah, no, Phoenix. No, I mean, I say that, I mean, Phoenix, you're here all the time for the fan fiction discussions I have about these fics, where it's like some super fucking niche section with only 100 stories, and they have one favorite, they've written 300 chapters, their story is 4 million words long, and they've been keeping at it for the past 8 years. And I say the exact same thing every time. Why are you writing fan fiction?
No. Why are you writing the wrong fan fiction? They're very
No.
diligent.
No. Why are you writing fan fiction? Getting money off of fan fiction is for two sections of people. The really smart who can leverage the average intelligence population into giving them large sums of money for effectively no effort. And for the people who really, really love the fandom they're writing. If you
Sometimes
are
there's
gonna...
overlap.
Yeah, sometimes there's overlap. But if you are going to write 4 million words, 300 chapters, you know, for anything, write it as an original series at that point. Like, there is almost no series in existence of the written word that is over 1.5 million words long of the fiction variety.
The problem is taking the risk on that, and then the publisher, before self-publishing became a thing, actually taking the risk on running it and wasting the materials on a publication run.
What the fuck does it matter, bro? This person just dedicated literally their lives to writing a fanfic so they can post it in a hyper niche section that gets 7 views a year. What's the fucking difference if they write a manuscript or not?
It's the old, I wrote it for me, but if I put it out there and let other people see it, they might not like it. So it's
but they did put it out there.
No, they didn't put it out there somewhere big. They put it out there somewhere small. It is literally the George McFly problem. He writes his books, but he doesn't want to publish them because he's afraid people will criticize him. And then when he actually does it, he makes millions.
Who the fuck is George McFly?
Back to the Future.
Oh. Bro, I haven't seen
God
Back
damn
to the Future since high school, which was 14 years ago.
Bruh. Bruh.
Stein suffered sand damage.
And
Yes.
everyone cheered.
Oh god. Anyway, people who are rich and bored and want to do something, that's a very small category. Yeah, it's a very small category. And honestly, people who are rich tend to be rich for reasons. And if they're bored, either they're going to be a nepo baby who's never had to try in their lives, who would not be posting in a niche section, because typically nepo babies of that variety want to be the most popular person in the room, so they'd be posting to something like Naruto, Harry Potter, Pokemon. Typically, a person who writes a 4 million word story for a niche section that gets 7 views a year, they're not really concerned with getting
I would say,
popular.
listen, the guy who's writing the 4 million word, and I'm just making right, Code Lyoko fan fiction, he's not concerned about people looking at it.
Yeah.
He's writing his Code Lyoko fan fiction for his own entertainment. Like,
And again, that's what I'm saying though, is like, yo, I'm doing this for myself, so that's why it's a fan fiction. It's like, just write the original story. Like, if you're doing it for yourself, then write it as an original story. Like, oh, I'm just carving for myself. Doesn't mean you
But
don't
then I'd
display
have to
them.
put more work into making the world, Sneaky.
Not really.
hey,
I
sorry,
mean, look,
exciting bit of copyright news. Marvel and DC lost the trademark for superhero. Go fuck yourself.
amazing, good, perish. But no, well, so that's the thing though, right? Is you don't need to put more effort than you would, because like here again, the reason why I brought up the word thing is when you can summarize the entirety of Naruto in, what would you say, Max? 100k, 200k words? Good talk, Max.
I don't think, since Max is here, I don't think you even need 200k word. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the 200k at the hardest.
200K?
Yeah. So, if you can summarize Naruto in that much, and you're gonna write a 3 million word Naruto fanfic, you're gonna have to world build harder than the original series. And it's actually gonna be worse for you, because now you have to fucking Brazil engineer your way around the Naruto Foundation. To
engineer.
I mean, I'm not wrong.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just that's a very specific country and.
I mean,
profession.
we've all seen the
Considering
Brazil.
what they've done,
We've all seen the Brazil
Favelas.
shanties. Yeah, come on, we've all seen
Yeah.
them.
I definitely came back at a great time, apparently.
Just ask C8
Talking,
about those
talking
favela
about
guns.
word count and favelas, and I'm just trying to figure out how this all connects back to each other now.
We'll get there.
What I'm saying, Max, is effectively, if Naruto, canon Naruto can be summarized in 200k words, when you're writing a 3 million word story, you're going to have to world build more than what you were given in canon Naruto. And Sign's point is that people would write fanfics because they don't want to world build harder than writing their own world. But the problem is when you expand outside of the fanfics canon, you have to world build. And if you world build 2,800,000 more words than canon, you might as well just fucking publish your own story at that point and not have to fucking build off the favela that is the Naruto Foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I've got two things that'll explain that. The first is scope creep, i.e. you didn't see it coming up, and as you were building it, you didn't realize just how big it was getting.
Yeah.
The other being fuck, brain fart.
Oh, I'm sure it
conve-
was.
Convenient timing,
Oh,
Come on, old
right,
man.
Sign.
Come on.
Come
You
on,
definitely,
lay
you
down.
definitely
me a
didn't
minute.
forget how to count.
Sit down, Sign. We'll take your time. We're here
Come on,
for
old
you.
man. We'll get you some mentats.
Give me a minute.
While Sign
I'm now
collects
just
himself and
imagining-
his breakfast.
I'm imagining the world in which Naruto was a 200,000 word story and how much better and tighter of a story it would be as a result.
Oh yeah, it would be so much tighter. But again,
Dude,
that's the problem.
200,000 for the first part, and then you expand it to 300,000 for the second part, and then you're done.
Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing, right? Like, books are going to be way tighter and expect way more consistency than a TV show or manga, because you will only have so much room, especially in a manga. You only have so much room per panel, per scene, to have a character moving, to have a character doing some sort of action, to have their thoughts displayed to the audience, to have their words displayed to the audience, to have conversations going on. You only have so much room for that. I mean, obviously in any medium, but in a book, you could just fucking pour that fucker. You just dump that fucker.
A reminder that Unlimited Blade Works Shiro in anime is slightly different from the visual novel because we get his play-by-play.
Yeah, visual novel Shiro, famous for his quotes like, "I want to fuck Rin until she pisses herself."
I
Yeah, I
They
think
skipped a
that
lot.
one's probably from the Unlimited Blade Work route.
I think it is.
I think the exact phrasing when translated to English was, "I want to rail Rin Tosaka until she pisses herself."
I
And
have
then
no
he
idea,
proceeded
'cause
to do so.
I haven't seen the scenes. I don't care to.
Yeah, and
So-
then he actually proceeded to do so. So I mean,
like on
power
one
to
hand,
him.
I want to read the light novel to try and get
He's
more
a-
context. On the other hand, I hear shit like that, and it's like, what if I?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
don't.
like the light novel Shiro is just. Bro is running like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 commentary on the entire Grail War.
because the entirety, aside from the intermissions, are first-person point of view.
Yeah,
Which
bro
which
is just dumpstering
visual
everyone
novel.
in his mind and doesn't say any of it.
Oh yeah, it's like, wow. I knew Shinji was a piece of shit. I'm gonna punch him.
That
honestly,
explains
I would have
so much with
I would
Archer.
have much preferred it if the
Yeah.
exact conversation in his head was like, "Yes, I finally have the
Let's-
justification
okay.
to punch Shinji."
Let's put it this way. The Unlimited Blade Works abridged is much closer
Is
to
more
visual
in
novel
line,
Shiro
yeah.
than the anime.
Yes.
Because they're like, what if we
Unironically,
just
yes.
have him voice his observations? It's like, yeah,
God damn, you stupid
yeah.
Shinji!
Oh yeah, okay. In Unlimited
I keep
Blade
mention-
Works,
I
when
keep-
Rin is starting to show interest in Shiro, waiting for him to go get out of class so they can eat lunch together, the anime shows Shiro being a dense MC, not getting the hint. In the visual novel, he is deliberately trolling her with his actions because he knows that she's interested in him.
Oh yeah, no. Visual
Amazing.
novel Shiro is not stupid. He's actually an insanely intelligent. The only thing he's stupid in is not understanding how bullshit his personal magecraft is.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
he has
Which is,
no
of course,
frame of
ironically,
reference.
the important part.
If
for
he
his
had,
choice.
here's the thing, it's a very good writing thing that I don't know if Nasu intended or not. If he has a frame of reference, he's a pretty intelligent individual. If his only frame of reference is a personal experience, it just goes to shit like a normal person. Like, he can
Well-
recognize at a glance, oh, these other mages are way better than me. But he also doesn't realize that they're not risking nerve burnout every time they train. Because his adopted father trained him wrong in the hopes it would put him off of wanting to be a mage.
I have
Yeah.
trained him wrong in the hopes that he will seek a career as a barista.
So
It worked out
he
well.
learned how to he learned how to force a magic circuit into existence, which is the wrong way to do it. And it's heavily implied Kiritsugu taught him how to do it that way in the hopes the pain would be enough to turn him away. Unfortunately, Kiritsugu didn't realize that he picked up
a masochist
Uh,
for a child.
No, he didn't realize he'd accidentally picked up a an empty vessel of a psychopath. Because once Kiritsugu gave him the whole like, I wanted to be a hero when I grew up, that was it. It's done.
Unironically, Shiro is actually a
Fuck.
great example of the fact that we have proven scientifically lots of sociopaths and even psychopaths, right? People who exhibited psychopathic or sociopathic tendencies, but had good family lives. Actually,
Another
end up-
stellar quote from the visual novel.
Oh, no.
I'm so
Woo.
glad. I've never seen this
I'm
game.
sorry, what?
And if you want to read through the visual novel but you don't want the scenes, I can link you a website where someone literally just did their playthrough. So there's also some really fun little commentary in the notes sometimes of like, wow, this was stupid. Shiro, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That quote and that context
all
make
in
no
text.
sense, and it bothers me.
So
It makes perfect sense.
Shut the fuck up, sign.
Think.
He's a sword. Think about it.
I like that out of context. If you know it's Shiro, it could be like, oh, he's expanding his tracing to start making buildings. And in
Oh,
context, you're like,
sorry, Ink.
fuck?
Apparently, Ink has some stuff to contribute here, so let's let me read what he's got to say. I don't think it's inherently a bad thing to make fan fiction for yourself, especially for niche sections. I don't think it's because of laziness. I think some people just really want to make it. Yeah, no, I don't mind it. I'm just saying, you know, it's one thing to like paint a couple miniatures, right? It's another thing to buy $50,000 of miniatures, paint them all, and still claim it's just for my personal enjoyment. You've crossed a line. There was a line somewhere. I don't know where the line was, but you've definitely crossed the line.
It's the same line the ATF likes to get interested in when you buy 50 guns instead of
The
just
line is
5 during a
5K,
year.
says Gray, who has spent
No.
4.9K.
That you just took shots at like several surrounding hobbies around that. Because there's model kits, there's
Yeah.
figures.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, at a certain point, it does also start to become a mental illness.
I don't appreciate you pointing that out to me. Just so you
Oof.
know. Listen, it's my mental illness. I get to choose the coping
I would
mechanism.
say, listen,
Fuck you.
I don't appreciate you attacking my painting service like that, Sneaky. I need him happy and motivated.
That plastic crack.
But here's the thing, right? That's kind of my point, though, is you're paying him to paint.
Here's the thing, though. I personally receive enjoyment from putting well-painted models down on the table. I am not capable of
Right.
making models
But
to
here's
the
the
level
thing.
that I want.
You're using them.
Yeah, it's a different thing if they're just sitting on a shelf.
I'm talking about the guy who has spent $50,000 on models that he then painstakingly painted over the course of 10 years,
And
just so
plays
we could
Hero
put it on a
games.
shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how some people get enjoyment out of it. For some, there are some people that probably have that much money invested, but their whole thing with the hobby isn't the result; it's the journey. Because over in the Gunpla Discord, there's a guy probably every
Sure.
3 months.
Again,
Hey guys, I'm selling this part of my collection
right,
because he doesn't
and
really care about the end result at the end of the day.
right, and
It looked good.
And again, I don't mind that. Again, there is a transaction going on there, and I'm not saying you need to make money off of it. What I'm saying is that they're in there for the journey. They're not there to hoard fucking miniatures so they can have a giant room of miniatures in their house just so they can look at all of the miniatures they have because they have this weird fucking mental disorder causing them to hoard. They're there for the journey, so they're getting rid of the miniatures after they paint them, eventually. So that's again, that's a different thing. Like that's you are honing your focus, I guess I could say. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, is if you are really going to spend such a gargantuan section of your life on something, produce something with it. You know, if you're going to be woodworking as a hobby for 20 years of your life, I would at least like to see some of your furniture be your own woodworking projects. Instead of just being little fucking... Yeah, instead of just being little fucking carved symbols that you just kind of nailed everywhere across your walls of your house so you look like a fucking lunatic whenever someone visits. Right?
Why the fuck did my eye exam place tell me that I have an upcoming appointment on 5/30/25 at 2:30? I have not scheduled this.
There's been an emergency, now.
Apparently.
It's a
There's
remote
a-
system, it's automatic.
There's a
Hello,
recall
Adam,
on your eyes.
It's nearly time. We look forward
yeah.
to seeing you for your eye exam.
Yeah, there's a
Getting
recall on
examed.
your eyes.
Yeah.
You're getting examined.
Plot-
Do not resist.
Plot twist to what you
Being
just
examined.
your little example, Sneaky.
Yeah.
The hobby is freaking people out with all the little wooden symbols. placed
Well,
around.
yeah, I mean, you know, you might be chanting a little bit too much with these symbols as well. But point being, though, is if you spend 25 years of your life fishing, I expect at some point for you to at least eat one of the fish you catch.
Who doesn't?
I disagree, but that's just because like people get enjoyment in different ways. There are plenty of people that fish for 20, 30 years of their life, and it's all catch and release. Like I don't think your hobby needs to be productive. I just think it needs to not be destructive to your well-being and shit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I kind of just view it as a time thing in my personal way of viewing the world. If I'm going to be spending an absurdly long time investing into something, I want something to come out of it in the end.
Okay, but Sneaky, if that's really what you're gonna do, how many hours have you poured into ARPGs?
Oh no,
Diablo
absolutely.
clone. You've
Oh, no,
produced
hun-
nothing
I've-
from them.
Oh, absolutely. I never said I wasn't a hypocrite. I'm just saying, you know, as an ideal,
Ah, okay.
I would like people to
So-
not repeat my mistakes.
So this is where you announce that you've been signed onto a Dota team, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm
No.
actually the new
He's too fucking
main-
old.
I'm the new main for Cloud 11. It's for all the washed out Cloud 9 players.
Yeah, but yeah, jokes aside, unfortunately, he is in the neighborhood of 30 and therefore too old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, to
Yeah.
be fair, there is plenty of, I mean, a bunch of 30-year-olds just fucking won the international, bro. But,
I'm gonna be honest.
But
It's become very.
They've been
it's
playing
become-
professional for
yeah,
Yeah,
no, the difference, though, is
Yeah.
these 30-year-olds have about 7 times the amount of hours I have in the game, and I have 6,000 hours.
right. They
there's
have
that.
an immense amount of skill to compensate for the fact that they aren't mainlining Coke as much as they used to, and as much
Yeah.
as the Zoomers are right now.
Yeah, oh yeah. But so let's see here. I think the main thing with lengthy fanfiction is just scope creep. The only reason someone put in a world build outside of canon is because they really love the series. No, absolutely no. I don't want it to make it come off as like I'm saying like, oh, you shouldn't world build outside of what you already have. I fucking love those stories, man. You go to my profile on fanfiction.net, I have literally over 1,000 favorited stories. I think I'm actually at 1,500 now. I
Let's take a look at
love
Ghost in the
stories.
City, right?
Yeah, I love stories that creep outside of the established scope. 100%. But I am saying that if you put that much time into it, consider why. You know, consider deriving something from it. Because, I mean, again, if you just wanted to write for the sake of writing, you didn't have to post it.
I think, honestly, I think I've seen plenty of times where someone's like, "Oh, I write a shit ton of fan fiction. Do you post it?" God, no. Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
They
That's why
just
you
write
posted
it.
it
If
as
you
writing.
if you want to just spend your days writing your fun little ideas and then never posting it, power to you. But I
Hell, who
feel
knows?
that the people who are going out of their way to find a place to post it so other people can read it and comment on it and interact with them about it, even the most ardent I'm writing for myself fan, there is a layer of I want people to tell me I'm doing good or that my story is good to that. Because it is effectively the same as going out to the public square and shouting your idea for Naruto fanfiction to the world.
Sure, but there's
Yeah.
also the whole aspect of why I personally do it, which is I put it out there, I put it in a place where I can interact with other people, specifically so you can tell me what I'm doing wrong, how I can make it better, and how I can make a better product, and thus
Right,
make
but
more money.
you want well, that's literally my point. That's literally what I've been saying. But I'm saying that people in general that go out, like, there's plenty of people that go out and fish and never take a picture of their catches because they're just there to fish. There's plenty of people that buy thousands of dollars of miniatures to paint and then don't take pictures of them. They don't display them. They got like a fucking box in their closet. They put them there when they're done because they just wanted to paint them. Like,
Yeah.
that's
They might hand it over to someone else because they just wanted to.
But if you are buying miniatures and then whenever someone visits your house, you take them into the miniature room so you can have thousands of small plastic objects stare at you, and you're like, "Go, look at all these miniatures I painted, aren't they cool?" You want a response from someone. You are trying to elicit a reaction from other people, which means that your enjoyment of your miniatures isn't solely personal.
True.
And if that's the case, is what I'm caveating my statements with. If you are the sort of person who wants other people to comment on your work, whether you're doing that as a hobby, personal enjoyment, or you're trying to derive money out of it, if you are going to dedicate so much time to it, I'm not saying you need to monetize it. I'm saying you need to consider why you're doing it and maybe just write your own stuff. And the reason why I keep saying, please, for the love of God, write your own stuff, is because I keep going to Barnes & Noble, and I keep not being able to use the hundreds of dollars of gift cards I've now received over the past decade, because there's nothing to fucking buy there.
You're gonna have to use those remember, gift cards do actually have an expiration date usually.
I'm aware, and I've spent them on gifts for other people.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, that depends on the business. Some businesses
Barnes
say
and
it never
Noble
runs out.
definitely does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some will have like it never runs out. It's like, okay, the caveat here is so long as you remain in business.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a caveat every business has. This has a lifetime warranty. You know, as long as my company's around.
At least the benefit of writing fanfiction, the cost is a computer at least 5 to 10 years, notepad. Yeah.
Hell, you don't even need.
I don't think the worth of a passion or hobby is if it produces or something. Yeah, we've. I've drawn like a lot of art that I've never posted online to platforms. I've just shared with friends, and I've probably made a total of $300 off of the art in the past 25 years. I mean, it's good for you, and I'm not saying that you need to change that. Because I mean, I assume that your goal in art is to have fun drawing and improve and become a better artist over time. And if that's your goal, that's great. That's a goal. I think my advocacy kind of boils down. If I had to really boil it down to the most base thing, my advocacy is for people to find the focus. What is driving them to do whatever they're doing as a hobby? If it's just to cast a line into the ocean and enjoy the sea breeze, then power to you. If it's to try and hook the biggest fish eventually, great. But just don't stumble around life doing things without, thought, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so now I think I kind of get what you mean. I don't necessarily know that I agree with it, but, and obviously feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but for anyone who isn't quite tracking, Sneaky's point is figure out what part of what you're doing that you enjoy, right? Are you painting miniatures solely because you enjoy the act of painting the miniatures? Are you painting them to tell your guy's cool story, and that's why you keep bringing it up for people who show up at your house, right? Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I've said in the past that you don't need to monetize your hobby, but if you're working you don't need to monetize your hobby, but we are rapidly approaching an age of civilization where you need to start considering it. Not because finances are bad, not because of the economy, but because we are rapidly approaching an era of civilization where a lot of menial jobs are being replaced with automation. And this is going to progressively, over the next 20 years, massively impact the workforce of basic jobs. And I'm not saying
Well,
I'm not saying that you're stupid, you gotta go find a hobby so you can monetize the hobby. I'm saying that there's a lot of people, me being one of them, who is not overly motivated in the workforce to monkey climb the ladder of the company to achieve the legendary 7-figure salary, so I can enjoy it with the 5 years I have left to live because I've been doing lines of coke the entire time to just stay awake so I can work 27 hours a day to achieve that goal. I make enough money right now doing the job I'm doing to pay my rent, buy the food I want to eat, and have enough money left over that if I want to buy a new game this month, I don't have to be like, oh, well, I guess I have to tighten my belt. But on the flip side, I also don't spend frivolously. I'm not. My current cell phone is a phone that I was gifted because it was a free upgrade from the previous phone that I was gifted. The current phone that was a free upgrade was upgraded in 2018, which was an upgrade over the phone I received for free back in 2012, which was an upgrade that I received for free from the phone I had back in 2008, which was given to me by my parents because I was doing after school activities and they wanted a way to contact me. So I've never had to pay for a phone. because I literally just waited so long that eventually the phone company begged me to just upgrade my phone. Please, we'll pay the entire thing. Just please upgrade. So I've never had to
Yeah.
pay for a phone.
So on the
Same.
automation thing, I actually saw a thing about that the other day.
Yeah.
They're putting laws in place now specifically to prevent what you're talking about with automation phasing out a certain percentage of jobs. Yes, they'll, well, how do I put this? They will obsolete some jobs. Yes, they will also reduce the number of other jobs in certain other fields where automation applies, but you still have to have somebody to supervise the automation. You have to have somebody to watch the drone, make sure it's doing right, and so on and so forth. And
Sure,
they're
but
putting in
the okay, so I'm actually going to use an Asmongold example, and he was totally right for bringing this up. Absolutely 100% on point, and I didn't even think about it until I heard him say it. Think back 20 years. How many lanes in the grocery store were open 20 years ago?
all of them.
Exactly. And how many lanes were there? About 20. Nowadays, you go to the
Depends.
grocery store, there's about 2 lanes open and a self-checkout line.
Or multiple self checkouts.
Or multiple self-checkouts, depending on the population of your area. Now, what this results in is 19 less people had to be hired. Now, sure, you have to hire one more person so they can guard the door and check groceries, and maybe one person to just govern over the self-checkout area in general. But so that's a reduction in 17 employees, and now maybe you need 2 shifts to cover the entire period that it's open. So that's 34 people no longer being hired.
Yeah, that is true. That's 34 jobs lost minimum.
And the population has increased since that point in time by tens of millions. So we have more people now than we did previously, and we're employing less of them. Not even because of automation. And now we're going to be employing automation. And obviously, automation in the food store isn't really going to be happening too much. I mean, I guess you could have, like, the butcher robot where you have a supervisor come over and refill the meat blocks for dispensing.
Okay, look, my
Yeah.
brother in Christ, I went to Walmart yesterday to get a few little groceries, and I found myself pushing a buggy behind a fucking automated floor sweeper. They did away with the guy who sweeps the floor
Yeah.
to have a robot do it.
Yeah.
But that's just
Oh,
it, right? That's the thing. So to bring up a much more prevalent happening right the gosh darn fuck now, right?
sure.
What is one of the main complaints of the dock workers union right now, today, and they're striking?
I assume that they are getting rammed up the ass too much by the union.
No,
That too.
that's not it at all, actually. The union is the only thing keeping them from being replaced. Genuinely. The
Yeah,
union
well,
is
okay.
right.
So,
No, because we
no,
can,
yeah,
in their agreements, right? And I know all this because I've
right.
seen the
Yeah,
agreements,
well,
and
yeah, because you have to
I
deal with
went
this
through
stuff,
all of
yeah.
this on the East Coast, not the West Coast dock worker union strike,
Right, yeah,
like a year ago, right?
right.
Part of their agreements with the unions, of course, there's benefits and health increases and salary increases and all that jazz. But one of the key things in there is that the docks cannot replace more than X amount
Right.
of the workforce with automation measures, whatever form those automation measures may take, whether it be bringing in robots to unload stuff, whether it be the automated forklift, whatever, right? They
Sure.
can't replace more than a certain percentage of the workforce with it. And that's one of the things that the union is fighting for on the East Coast, is to tighten those
Right.
protections up because they need it, right? Those people will lose their jobs
Yes.
without those protections.
Yeah, and I understand that. Except I'm just very cautious about these sorts of measures being put in place because imagine the kind of shit we would have to deal with now if back then people had rioted and demanded that Congress pass a law that prevents horses from being entirely phased out for courier work. Like, every mail company needs to have at least 20% of their workforce be horse-delivered mail.
Well, but that doesn't make any sense, right? Because if someone's a courier,
It doesn't make any sense to not replace your dock workers with a far more efficient 24/7 operating robot that doesn't complain about wages, is far
Actually
cheap.
does.
So
The
hey,
man
first of all,
driving the riding the horse can instead ride a car.
Yeah.
The dock worker,
it's about
pulling the
transferable
s-
skills, right? That's the whole
Yes.
problem. It's about the guy who's been a stevedore for 30 years. He cannot easily re-enter the workforce.
No, I'm aware, but my point is artificially introducing inefficiencies into the system for the sole purpose of making sure that people stay employed as a law is something you need to be exceedingly cautious about.
Absolutely.
Because there
Which
is
why-
nothing more permanent than a temporary measure enforced by the government.
Absolutely. That's why, for me, I think the important way to support it is that they cannot write, because this has been agreements that I've seen. Actually, some models for this were car factories. Was that they could not replace X% of automation while workers with X years of service were present.
Okay. Yeah, no, that is more the reasonable thing of if you have people who have worked X job, for 20 fucking years, working at this plant, then you can't replace them with an automated robot. I'm okay with that. It's still very rough. It's still very prone to abuse by the company because the company
Absolutely.
could just be like, "Oh, well, we're just going to move them to a
Well, you're
desk
right.
job then, and then after 3 years we're going to fire them." Like
Absolutely.
like
No legislation's ever going to
yeah.
be perfect.
Yeah, I know, and obviously leaving it more to individual agreements between individual unions and the companies that operate on them is more reasonable because it's less permanent and it's not being enforced by the government.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as an IT worker, I've seen firsthand what happens when you let a internet service provider write contracts out on an individual basis with people.
Yeah.
Whole neighborhoods were locked out from ever advancing past DSL because 20 years ago, when DSL was the best thing on the market, they signed an agreement with the company to always use DSL. And then the
Yep.
company never needed to upgrade that neighborhood now because they had an agreement saying that for the next 20 years, they legally are not required to do anything besides continue providing the same DSL speed that was top-notch 20 years ago. So that's why this neighborhood that I was in had a download speed of 10 bytes a second.
Accurate.
Back when a fucking music download was a nice coffee break.
So, as much as I support, again, and then again as an IT worker, I've seen firsthand what happens when you allow the government to step in and impose regulations. the shattering of Bell was one of the worst things that ever happened to the communication market.
And then they just put themselves back together.
Yeah, except now they're not a monopoly technically.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah. The shattering of Bell was one of the worst things that ever fucking happened to the communication market, because now instead of being able to impose regulations on a company that would be enforced at a nationwide level, they can get away with not needing to do that and not being able to enforce it, because technically they don't have the grounds to enforce it, because technically they're not a monopoly. So,
And technically, I'm not stealing service.
yeah. And so, like, I worked at the network hub in Vermont for a whole week, as part of a little internship program they had at Champlain. And by worked, I mean I went around and they just told us shit all the time. We just learned stuff about the hub. It was free, so but they were telling us about how they tried to get a better hub opened up in a different part of town where the rent rates weren't atrocious, where they had a better building that had better fire code, that had better wiring, that had just better placement, and they couldn't because it didn't support the ability to wire up the remaining 110 customers that still used copper cable. And it's just like, I'm sorry, but we're really at a point where we're not able to improve the communication network in our country because 10 people don't want to change.
Well, I will say they finally found a way around that, and I'm actually subject to that. So what they did was they sent out a letter to all of their customers still on DSL because, Bell South is technically part of Ma Bell, right? So what they said was, here's what we're going to do. We're going to upgrade you for free. We will send you this new modem. It's cellular, it's 5G. It will have better service than what you have now on DSL. It will have higher or equal to or higher upload and download speeds to what you're getting. It's probably going to be higher. We're going to charge you the exact same thing. We're not going to raise the prices. And we're giving this to you for free. All you got to do is call the number. However, if you don't do this, if you don't go with it, we're going to shut it off. We will be shutting off the DSL within the year.
Yeah, that is the way to get around it. Yeah.
Get fucked. Yeah. So now, as soon as the last person signs up for that or gets dropped, they no longer have to manage the DSL. They can shut it all down. They can just do away with it completely, rip up the copper, and call that it.
Oh yeah. And like I said, now these companies are being forced to, instead of being able to gently transition to a better system, now they're just holding people at gunpoint. Congratulations, you fucking idiots. But Ink says it wasn't Bell incompetent as fuck. Oh, hilariously incompetent, hilariously corrupt. They were just like the worst fucking thing ever.
They employed Scott Adams for like 10 years.
Wait, he doesn't know about Ma Bell?
No, he does know about Ma Bell.
He was saying that they're massively incompetent, which they were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was asking.
No. He was like, well, he is asking. Weren't they incompetent? Yes. Yeah, they were hilariously incompetent. But the thing is that when they shattered the company the way they did, Company 1 got access to all of the lines in Vermont. Company 2 has access to all of the lines in New Jersey. Company 3 has access to all of the lines in New York. And what this caused was
not a mistake. The way that Bell was broken up.
That's why I refer to it as the shattering.
Yes.
Because that's what it was, is they just shattered. They took the fucking vase that was Bell and just threw it on the ground as hard as possible and said, guys, we fixed it! And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, no you didn't.
Congratulations, you somehow made it worse.
The worst thing is that other companies looked at this and how they shattered Bell, and they took after that model. So now, like, Comcast, technically they're all under the Comcast umbrella, but you've got Comcast East, Comcast West, Comcast Central, South, South Central, etc., and so forth.
Yeah.
My brother actually works in the company, and what it really is like 7 or 8 different companies in a fucking trench coat.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. It's just ludicrous shit. But but to continue my example, so basically, if anyone from New Jersey wanted to contact anyone from Vermont, they couldn't just contact someone from Vermont because the lines that can go to Vermont go through New York, which is owned by Company 3, which means Company 2 has to make a deal with Company 3 to make use of the lines in Company 2's property, and so that's how you can contact Company 1. And you have to go through Company 2 to do it. And that is the dumbest fucking thing in existence. Well, yeah, they all pay each other, and it's why your cable rates are so ridiculous. It's because everyone's looting everyone else's pockets, and then you get stuck holding the bag, because if you need to, say, talk to Europe, you have to go through New York. You have to. There is no other way to talk to Europe unless you go through New York, which Comcast owns.
That's where the big
so which
main
means
line is.
you have to pay Comcast. And because of the laws put in place to allow for Bell to access their lines and make sure they can repair their lines at any point in time without, say, needing a court order to be allowed on someone's property to put up the phone line that will reconnect the entirety of the north half part of the state, the company that puts down lines owns 5 feet around the line, which...
That's an easement, yes.
It's great. It's actually a great idea because that means your shit gets fucking fixed when it breaks. However, this doesn't work when you have 9 fucking companies all offering internet now. Because you can't have 9 lines. Because the person who has the spot where you could ever feasibly put down a line owns it already.
Yeah, they have to rent those easements, and the competing company wants to charge a fortune for that, and that's why they will never be able to lay lines. As someone who has lived in that situation for over 20 years dealing with this exact problem, and why we could never get cable out here.
And it's
I remember
it's
when
also
Google Fiber first came out, and I was like, "Fuck
They
yes,
bought-
we're
They spent so much money.
we're finally
yeah.
going to move in to the modern age of the internet, right? Because like ever since I was young, right, it's very easy to hear about." Right, like you could hear people talking about like professional StarCraft player, right? Oh yeah, he ran to the net cafe. They didn't have StarCraft downloaded, so he just StarCraft 2 downloaded it. But you know, they had good internet, so he got it downloaded in like 10 minutes. What do you mean? It's like a 30 gig game. Yeah,
Japan.
it took him like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you not have good download speeds, bro?
Damn.
Me playing Quake
Wait.
on the fucking worst internet known to man.
No, just Ruby?
What?
Just wait, why just Ruby?
Huh?
What?
What are you
Why
talking
just
about?
Ruby?
What are you talking about?
Is this some comment on the stream?
Error 503, but it's only for the Ruby section.
Oh.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, no.
Fanfiction.net has been doing that all day, and it was doing it for the author section earlier, which just fixed.
Why just the Ruby section?
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Like
I'm
Ruby,
watching
that's
the
why.
stream now. That is weird.
Well, I guess we're not looking at Ruby then.
No, I guess we're
Damn.
not looking at Ruby.
We have been spared by the admin.
So
mean,
instead, My Hero Academia.
Like, I knew Ruby
Oh.
was a dead franchise, but goddamn fanfiction.
Even fanfiction's getting in on the hate.
Just adding some
Wow.
salt to that wound.
Yeah.
They just took it out back and old Yellered it.
Yeah. Obsolete. Yeah, well, look, I'm not saying humans are obsolete. I'm just saying that if you want a product to be cheaper, two things have to happen. You have to demand it to be cheaper, and the second thing is that you have to make it cheaper to procure the product.
Yeah.
And if the option
So you mean
is
Gabe's strategy?
well, no, Gabe's strategy is how you prevent black markets. What I'm talking about is if you want $2 shoes, you have to make the materials cheap to get, and the method of manufacturing has to be cheap to be done, and the transportation has to be cheap. And if transportation is expensive because you need to keep a 50% roster of humans to automation, and so you know, like, if you got 100% humans right now, and they can move 20 tons an hour, but this robot can move 20 tons in 10 minutes. That's a multiplicative of 6. You can move 6 times more merchandise in the same time period. The robot is never going to request a raise because it doesn't work for money. The parts for the robot are going to be easily accessible for a very long time because you're a fucking doc, so they're going to have to make those parts for like the next 70 years.
Your limits
And
fuel or power.
well, yeah, I mean, obviously the power costs are going to go up. And I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, we're already paying for the power costs, except we're offloading the costs onto the people who are doing the work, because they have to buy the food to fuel their bodies to exert the power. And that's what I'm saying here, is that the thing is, though, at the end of the day, if the robot costs $50K up front and it has like a $1,000 maintenance fee over the course of the month, well, I'm sorry, but 100 workers who are probably earning between 35 to 45K, that's already 1/100th of the 1/10th, 100th. That's about 100th of the cost.
You're talking about the McDonald's burger flipper robot specifically.
I am, yeah, but you know, I'm putting this on the trade. This is what I'm saying. It's like, this is why I brought up the whole horse argument earlier as well. If we made a law saying you need to keep 20% of the workforce to be horses, because if we fired the people who ride horses, then they wouldn't be able to have a job. Obviously, you know, driving a horse and driving in general, they are somewhat transitory, and it's a way easier scenario than, say, a dock worker who only really knows how to operate the Stug Max 7000 machine to lift 10-ton crates. You know, there's a little bit of a difference there, but I'm just trying to use an example here of like, oh, we gotta keep 20% horse-driven mail couriers on.
But that's the thing. Go with the example that makes sense, right? Go, because I cannot easily go and find jobs for the 7,000 stevedores or whatever that's going to be unemployed.
But we don't. But the reason why I'm using the horse example is because we don't currently know the peak effectiveness of the robots that could theoretically replace the dock workers.
We got an idea.
We have an idea, like, yes. But back in the day, we didn't know. And back in the day, actually, we thought cars were a passing fad and would never take off. Okay?
No,
so,
people.
Yeah.
So, point being, though.
Meme about the horse walking past the swamped car.
Yes. But the point of this, though, is what if people were afraid back in the day and they had instituted a similar law as what they're trying to institute now for the dock workers? We now know how much cars can carry, how fast they can go. Because, I mean, it doesn't really matter how much the roads improve or how much the cars improve. There is a maximum speed that these roads can be driven on, no matter how efficient the car is.
Yeah.
And America's fucking big.
Yeah, so point being is we know the maximum speeds, we know the maximum weights. and that are going to be true for, I mean, it's been true for a very long time about the maximum weights, because the fucking Grumman just runs forever. But
Well, I would say a much better example in this case would be replacing the guy, right? Self-driving vehicles are coming, right? Full stop.
yeah. Yeah, and well, actually, that one's actually more questionable, simply because the method of a self-driving vehicle to navigate the roadways would require a massive overhaul of all of the roadways, which, I mean, Christ, if we can't get an overhaul of our fucking trains, I don't know how we're going to do an overhaul of our roadways. I mean, Atin, you know from living in Chicago, the road work is never finished.
Bro, just one
They'll
more
do
fucking.
The road
One
must
more lane.
expand.
One more
One
lane,
more
bro, I
lane,
swear.
it will fix the highway.
One more lane, bro,
Yeah.
I swear.
But-
Please,
No, but
just
really,
give me
they
just
will
give me the
fix the
fucking
road.
benefits, please. I need the money. Please, just one more lane.
No, they'll never
They'll
fix the roads.
for the automated cars.
They will not.
Well, I say fix. They'll modify the roads for the
They will not.
cars as opposed to doing rail, because it means modifying a system versus putting in an entirely new system. Like
No.
say for
No.
instance, all you needed to do was put in markers along the side of the road. They'd fucking
No.
do it.
No, it wouldn't matter because of the sheer number they would have to be put in. It wouldn't matter because of the damage that can occur to them. And then again, the other thing is how the self-driving car sees. There is a lot of methods that the car can see by, and the more efficient methods that cause the least amount of crashes are actively deadly to look at. You will burn your eyes out if you see a self-driving car using those methods. So
the fact of the matter
you
is,
mean lasers?
yeah, so the problem is we have the option of everyone needing to wear shielding around a self-driving car lane, or we don't have self-driving cars and everyone still has to drive their fucking car.
yeah, I would just say the realistic scenario probably now that right. There's two realistic possible scenarios, right? The first is they eventually manage to make them safe enough to simply operate on the roads with normal people. Don't know if that'll happen, right? Certainly not in the immediate future. It's too far off for that, right? What's probably more likely is we'll get AI assisted driving that just keeps it from right, so that you can be texting on your cell phone or whatever, and it will keep going.
Just keep it between the lines, bro.
Now, Max can actually speak on this, is that he has had the joys of a line-driven car, and they are not.
The moment I figured out how to turn that shit off cruise control, it was gone. I don't even think my parents have realized yet that I disabled that on cruise control.
It's bad.
You did what? now?
The other major issue with a lot of these self-driving or driving assistance things is that the AI can't comprehend off-roads. They can't comprehend police-only roads. They can't comprehend exit turns.
Many such cases.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know what they're gonna do. Should they ever dare to encounter the dreaded dirt path in the middle of nowhere?
There's quite literally no way for a self-driving. So this is the problem, right? So if we rely on video cameras and instead of laser beams, we rely on video cameras. Video cameras have like about 70% effectiveness rate in preventing crashes from the self-driving car. And it also requires a significantly more powerful processor to process the images into something that's fucking viable for a car at the speeds it needs to process them at, because you're in a car going fucking 60 miles an hour. So, you don't want to operate on something that has a 20%, 30% chance of fucking crashing, okay?
Well, I mean, given the people driving today and the idiots driving today,
well,
you've
see
got
the
about that
difference.
percentage chance of
Yes,
getting in a
but
wreck anyway.
see the difference there is that a human-driven car has a 0% chance of crashing at any point in time, and that all the percentage chances added to that is purely based off of the human skill level and ability to pay attention to the road. So that is vastly
It's
different.
user error.
Yeah, that's vastly different from just a 30% error rate built into the method of detection.
Yeah, but when you
Yeah, that's
average it
fair.
out, the 30% error rate may actually be better. But right. So let me rephrase my
But
statement earlier.
but okay, so but the
No,
thing
no,
is,
okay,
right?
Here's the thing. We're getting way off into the weeds, right? Back to my original point. At some point, self-driving vehicles are going to happen. And when they do, that's obviously going to alter many industries. Chief among them is going to be trucking, right? Because right now you have tens of thousands of people that have commercial driver's licenses.
I don't know. So I understand what your point is, but I think if we ever reach a point in where self-driving vehicles are going to be a viable method of transportation that is both reliable and safe, we're also going to reach a point in time where we're going to have better methods of transporting resources than by a fucking truck.
Actually, you know what? Think about it.
No,
They
that
wouldn't
we
even
won't.
need to
Sneaky,
fully
you're
automate
forgetting
the...
that the most efficient way to transport anything is by a
train.
river.
Well,
No,
yes,
the
river,
most
because the
efficient
river
way is
does
by
the
a
work
river.
for you. Yeah.
Then after rivers, it's roads. Because the
Trains.
problem with a rail, no, the problem with a train is trains do not have the same infrastructure build up. They used to be more efficient, but they no longer have the same infrastructure build up as a road. Now, depending on where you're going, the most efficient thing to do is put it on a river. If you can't put it on a river, you put it on a train to get it close to where you're going, and then it's driven.
Right,
Otherwise,
yes,
it's
but
driven.
I mean, yes, obviously a truck will be able to be more nimble than a train, but I'm talking about in terms of pure carry capacity versus energy expended to move it to a different location in a straight line. Trains will forever be superior by a ridiculous margin. Now from there you'll have distribution hubs which can then, capillary out the resources where they need to go via truck, but trains will be forever superior in terms of resource movement.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, however,
until we have significant material science advances, one way, right, whether that be in the capacity, right, the way that the goods are made out of, or the materials that we can use to transport them, or the things doing the transporting, right? If you can make a better rail car that can hold more weight, you can make a better carrier for that rail car, great, right?
Sure.
But the fact is, we're at a very incremental advancement phase, right?
Right, but
People
I think
are
the
going
other
to
thing
eke more out of a car engine, but it's not going to be the jumps from a V1 to a V2 to a V8.
Right. No, I think the other problem with your idea though is that everyone uses different distribution software. I work with companies that use distribution software that they personally crafted back in 1983.
Oh God, I know all about that.
So the problem with using self-driving vehicles is you would need to make the self-driving vehicles set up compatible with every single company's personalized distribution software. And I'm not saying you need to make the car. I'm not saying you need to make the car involved in it. I'm saying that the networked intelligence in charge of sending the cars to where they need to go to pick up resources would need to be compatible with every single company's resource software, because right now, as it stands, trucking companies buy the contracts from the company via their software. So you would need to either move every single company off of their personalized software onto a standardized global system, or you would need to make a potential self-driving company compatible with every single system, which...
So here's the thing. That's already in the... absolutely. There are absolutely still companies that use their home bake system from the 1980s. I know. I work for one of them. I fucking hate that part of mine, right? Listen, I like my boss. I like my coworkers. My God, my system makes me want to pull my eyes out because it runs on Java like 2, and it's literally older than I am because it like Java 2 was like 92 or something, right, Sneaky?
Something like that, yeah.
It literally runs off a system older than I am, and I hate it. But the fact of the matter is, right, for payment stuff, we have ACH. My system didn't used to be able to process ACHs.
Yeah.
Now it can because they
Yeah.
needed to do business in the modern world, right? Lots of
Right.
places, right?
I'm-
You have ASNs, right? You also have automated, I forget what that, right? But the automated delivery system, right? The fact
Right.
is, the companies that use the home baked 1980s software are slowly going away, and the ones that are still using it have cobbled together a way to work on modern system, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is that there is not going to be an economic viability to replacing all of your truckers with self-driving cars in a sudden enough fashion that would cause a massive dearth of unemployment. That if such a system were to come about, it would be an overtime, slow replacement that as truckers retire and the companies that employ those truckers get smaller because they can't find new truckers because no one really wants to do a trucking job anymore because it just doesn't pay enough because they have to compete.
It also
with
fucking sucks.
Well, yes, it
Well,
fucking
yeah.
sucks, obviously. But when the companies can't afford to pay you more because they need to buy the contracts, but the companies that don't need to pay their workers because they're fucking robots can buy the contracts for cheaper than them,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to employ more people. You're going to have to start employing less and less people because you can't afford to pay them all. And it's going to be a slow drip over time of people being replaced. And that sort of system would absolutely fit. The
Yeah.
danger of automation is not a danger of people being unemployed,
It's a danger
unemployed
of
over
mass
time.
unemployment
It's mass
with
unemployment of
untransferable skills.
like McDonald's is actually a great example of this. Is McDonald's actually did do a mass replacement of a shit ton of workers simultaneously because they replaced a bunch of people with fucking Mr. Flippy shit. And not Mr. Flippy, the automated teller machines, right?
Yeah.
Where you still have someone cooking the food in the back, but the cashier has been wholly replaced. But okay, that's like 2 jobs at every McDonald's, but you have like 50,000 McDonald's in the square mile area of Los
Yeah.
Angeles. So that's like 100,000 jobs. That's crazy. But they did it overnight because they were demanding more money. And it's like, well, you know, that this is not going to be a slow replacement.
Okay, so I did look up the actual number. There are over 15,000 McDonald's in the United States. Literally, they stopped counting over 15,000, right? But so
Only
that is
15,000 McDonald's in the U.S.?
Damn, that's crazy.
Or are you saying 15 million McDonald's? 15,000 McDonald's in the U.S. Really? That's it? Damn.
You got to
I
remember
mean-
the places where you're going to encounter an abnormally high number of McDonald's are
cities,
going
yeah.
to be the high populate, right?
Yeah.
It's the chicken and the egg, right?
Yeah,
Are there
yeah.
more McDonald's because there are more people, or are there more people where there are more right? Obviously,
I don't think people are moving to an area because of and
I
think
don't know.
You might want to stop before you
This is
rank
America,
yourself here.
Sneaky. This is
I don't know,
No,
man.
that's not happening anymore. Maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know about
Not-
that one, man.
Right, but dumb jokes aside, right? The problem is that, as you said, right? Let's say that there were 150 McDonald's in that area, right?
Sure.
And each McDonald's needed to employ, call it 4 people to cover all their, right? Well, okay. Right, depending on hours and shifts and all that, anywhere from 4 to 8 people, depending on location, the amount of
Oh.
time that it's open, blah blah
God.
blah.
I just fucking read Sign's comment about his idea of how to replace the fucking truck driver. Bro, that would not work!
The most least retarded sign.
Just make the trucks into drones! That would not work at all! When you have a 30-second lag time between you turning the wheel!
That
You're
would
gonna
be a
have a lot of
disaster.
dead people.
The
That-
bro just introduced truck bombs.
Bro said that it's time, and when everyone asked him what time it is, he said it's time to fucking blow up.
Bro
Detroit shall-
introduced multi-truck drifting.
Detroit is gone. Bottom text.
Now, I will say, as far as the self-driving car thing could go, a possible solution would be to dig underneath the existing highways and roads and creating a protected, shielded tunnel for these self-driving vehicles where they can use their lasers to their heart's content.
Well, no,
but-
actually, probably a better solution, Sneaky, would be, are you familiar with magnetic tape?
Yeah.
So, right, so I went to a building in the U.S. for one of the larger pneumatic suppliers, right?
Right.
We went on a tour of their big factory in a state, and fuck it, I've already told people in Chicago, right? In Noblesville, Indiana, was the place I visited, right?
Detroit become truck.
Damn it, Sneaky.
You're a fucking awful actual genius.
But you know what? That was the casting project for the next Cars universe movie.
The next Cars universe.
Truck.
All right. Oh boy. Anyway.
Do not let this man cook. He is burning in the kitchen.
No, let him cook. Let him cook.
No, I don't want him to cook because that just means that somehow this has become acceptable cooking.
It has somewhere.
No.
Anyway.
The truth hurts knows.
It's not the truth though.
Anyway.
What are the plot paths of that game?
No,
Do you
no,
start
stop,
shouting?
Sneaky. No, Sneaky. Okay, first of all, I want to say something. I've got about 100 jokes in my head. I can't finish them, Sneaky, because we're live.
I know. I know.
Breathe, Sneaky, breathe.
Actually, no, wait. Don't breathe. Don't breathe.
Oh, yeah, I know you have 100 jokes. I fucking have them too.
Yep.
And we're just gonna collectively forget that those jokes exist, though, right?
Oh.
We need you guys to put the brain cell down. Stop sharing it.
Oh god. Oh.
Anyway. Fuck, what pile of dog shit were we on?
My Hero Academia.
Wait, no, sorry, what was
Oh,
that, Max?
dog shit. Okay.
I mean, that is a pile of dog shit, but...
My Hero.
No, I think it's worth pointing out, just real quick, on self-driving cars, there is
Yeah.
one flaw to this talk.
Yeah.
Assholes like me exist who will never let a filthy car drive me on its own.
I got news for you. Once they get rid of that 30% built-in failure rate, you won't get a choice. Because
I've got news for you. There will always be a choice, and the only way you're taking that out of me, away from me is by removing all gas stations and my ability to create petrol.
No,
just
actually,
like being an idiot.
it's really simple. Actually, they'll just pull you over, and then if you don't comply, they'll shoot you.
I would say that
I
particular
can
wonderful
certainly
tidbit aside.
try, I suppose.
No, like Max, you don't understand, right? Once they get rid of that 30%, right? As an example, a plane with all of its automated systems is way safer than a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the plane is still worked on by humans, and the next generation of workers ain't looking too promising for these industries.
Oh god, no, they're
Yeah.
not.
So again, you'll essentially have to pry it from my cold dead hands.
But
In
that
all
Max,
honesty,
That
Max,
you
the
know
only
what you know what
they-
Max
I'm gonna be
they
honest.
will
Max
literally
brings up a really good
no,
point.
they
I
will
would
literally pry
step.
it from your
I
cold dead
would.
hands.
Yeah. they will.
Okay. I will
Uh,
step into a quantum tunneler sooner than
Yeah.
I'll get in a self-driving car.
Yeah,
In fact,
that's
I
fair.
think we'll figure out quantum tunneling before automatic cars at this point.
Now, I will say, I'm sort of with Max. I do not trust a car that has a motherboard to drive it. And I'm talking about electronic cars. I'm talking about modern day gas cars. I'm talking about any car with anything more complicated than a fucking analog radio in it.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
love the
trust.
minivan I drive, but I don't like all the electronics that are stuck in it. My
Yeah.
van, for literally the month after we purchased it, every time I start that thing up, I have to hit a remind me later button because I don't want to let it have a software update.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just that. You know, like just we've all seen the memes online about the Tesla car having to upgrade its firmware and then breaking itself.
Oh yeah, the
Oh.
Tesla car where a battery replacement is $20,000, and
Yeah.
no, they do not cover fluid leakage, even though the fluid was put in the car on the factory lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It,
But so
that's a
and my
whole
point being is when it comes to the whole driving vehicle thing is we've seen this countless times in the past. We don't even have to speculate about what will happen if we ever achieve a extreme high safety rating when it comes to self-driving cars. We can just look at what happened to the small pickup trucks. We can look at what happened to the non-compact cars. We can look at what happened to the subcompact cars. The government has stepped in multiple times throughout the history of the automotive industry and has enforced ridiculous and, quite frankly, toxic regulations upon the automotive industry that has outright hurt the consumer base for no other reason than they thought they were doing a good thing. And frankly, that's going to continue forevermore as long as the people in power think they have control, um, which they don't, but because enough stupid people believe they do, they do. Um, but
Yeah,
the self-driving car enforcement will absolutely occur. You will absolutely have police officers out in force
I
slamming you with
still
$1,000 tickets every single time they see you touch the wheel.
don't think it's really gonna happen because they're unless they
Now,
start sticking them into gas-powered vehicles, which they're trying to do away with by 2035, I think we'll be in the clear
that
because we
is what I'm.
still haven't made
Yes,
strides.
this is entirely dependent on the theory that Atin has that they will achieve a high safety rating of self-driving.
yeah, I want to be clear.
No,
Which we don't have
Until the high
technology.
safety rating is achieved,
Yeah.
that won't happen.
We
don't
don't
think
have
we're gonna.
technology to do that.
I don't think we're gonna break that because, again, the upcoming
Well,
generations are
incompetent.
kind of not even their fault. They're being kneecapped by certain changes made to public education, at least in America. So
Imagine trying to make a self-driving car when buses or trains exist. Better solutions do exist.
I think it's worth pointing out we're
Yes,
we're
but
4 steps away from a major surgery being performed by someone who cheated on their
oh,
doctorate using
we're not
ChatGPT.
we're not even 4 steps. We're 0 steps.
Oh, please don't tell me they're already entering the workforce.
course they are.
Worse. They're already in the workforce.
Yeah.
Max, people who've never even heard of Halo 2 are
Um,
currently allowed to vote.
So, you're not aware of this, but there is a hospital in the area I live in called the Death Hospital.
Oh no.
And,
Of course it's called
Jesus.
the Death Hospital. Why wouldn't it be?
Okay, are you
Now-
sure that's not just because you're in New Jersey?
No, so, I'm gonna say, words that to everyone that knows what I mean by those words, and everyone that doesn't know won't know what I mean by those words. Part of the hospital's name is Martin Luther King. So I'm going to
Okay.
leave it at that, and everyone that knows, knows, and everyone that doesn't, doesn't. So anyway, this hospital is known as a death hospital because the fatality rates from surgeries done in this hospital is something around like 30%.
That's kind of high for modern medicine.
It's extremely high for modern medicine.
Yeah, we say that's disturbingly high for modern medicine.
In fact, the infant mortality rates in this hospital are so high that this hospital alone brought infant mortality out of the statistical range of clerical error.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So this hospital achieved such a status by having doctors in it that let's just say passed their medical exam in alternative ways.
I mean, did they do it through the old-fashioned nepotism, or they cheated?
Passed their exams in alternative ways.
Is that all the tidbits we're going to be getting?
That is all you'll be getting on this public broadcast.
Understandable.
And among other things, also filling a large majority of the hospital with middle managers, because that's what you need in a hospital.
Yes.
Yes,
manager.
the true enemy of progress, middle management.
Yeah. Now this hospital also receives a majority of all funding for hospitals in this area, under the belief that giving this hospital more government money will improve the quality of the hospital. It is not. So, point being is that unfortunately, the people who are hired here, everyone knows they pass their medical exams under alternative methods. The real danger is the hospitals that are currently not like this hospital, who are now hiring people that did not just pass their exams under alternative methods, but the alternative method they used actually resulted in the person who received the degree not even knowing what a scalpel is. Not because they cheated with ChatGPT or something, but because they had their son or daughter take the exam for them in their name.
I really don't want someone operating on me that somehow doesn't know a tool that has been known to entire generations of children due to pop culture.
Yes. And to make that worse is that we're actually accepting degrees from other countries now, because it would be racist to not do that. So if you say take a degree in a country with lower medical standards than ours, and you want to move to this country with said degree, instead of making you retake the degree, we allow you to just be handed a U.S. degree.
I remember being that a point of contention during the 2016 to 2020 presidency when President at the time brought on a certain person in 2020 who was spouting a bunch of nonsense, and her medical degree was from a third world country with several medical issues.
Yeah.
Boy, how
Now,
the table, how the turns have tabled.
Yeah, and in a completely non-shocking maneuver, we still require teachers who live in the U.S., were born in the U.S., and got their degree in the U.S. to retake their degree if they even leave the township they got the degree in.
Wow.
Yeah, but those are
not that
teachers,
it's
so
not
fuck
that
me.
it's doing any good, but wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. self-driving cars will never break a 5% accident rate, and even 5% is unacceptable. Yeah, absolutely, 5% is hilariously unacceptable. The error rates of modern technology is
Except
actually,
here's the problem with that.
you know,
That 5% is way lower when you
but it doesn't
average
matter.
it out compared to the insanity of normal people.
Yeah,
But it
that
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Because the thing at the end of the day is, if you have a person with a knife and a knife on the table, and a person with a knife has a 30% chance of stabbing you, people will accept that more than a knife on a table, unaffected by no outside forces, having a 5% chance of stabbing you. Just suddenly, the knife goes from on the table to stabbing you 5 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Exactly. People will not accept that. People will accept that an outside force, a person, caused something to occur. But they won't accept suddenly the knife is now stabbing them for no clear reason. And on top of that, when you have 1,000 iPhones and they have a 1% failure rate, that's 10 iPhones that failed. That's no big deal. But if you have 1 million iPhones with a 1% failure rate, that's 100,000. So no, that's 10,000 iPhones that failed, which is not acceptable. That's 10,000 people that can't contact someone if they need to. That's horrible. So
I mean, the failure rate on them is actually about that.
Actually, the failure rate on an average iPhone is 0.03%.
Really?
Yes.
Lower than
Apple
it
is very precise on this because there is a limit. There is a cost-benefit limit to the quality of in the construction of an iPhone versus the amount it costs versus the amount they can sell it for versus the amount of times a person is going to break it before the iPhone fails. And the public perception of the iPhone breaking. Like, there's a whole bunch of fucking factors that go into it.
Yeah.
Laws.
And, well, I mean, yeah, consumer protection laws, but those don't really matter. Those are an afterthought when it comes to everything else. If, you know, because again, this is the thing, right? Like, 100 million iPhones were made. 1% failed, 1 million iPhones are broken. That is fucking world news.
Yeah.
If 0.01% of those iPhones failed, that's only like 10,000 iPhones that failed. That's not that big of a deal. 100 million were made. No one cares. It's all about scale. If you have 70,000 cars and randomly a car will just explode 5 out of 100 cars, no one's going to get in their fucking car.
Well, what's the explosion rate on those batteries in the electric cars?
The Teslas
That's
actually
pretty
don't
high.
explode. The Chinese ones do.
No, not the Teslas. It is a certain kind of battery that does
Yeah.
explode.
Yeah.
Well, more like it burns. It's not an explosion.
Well, actually, it depends on the cause of the battery's detonation. The slow burn is usually due to either overheating error or a cascade failure. The battery can also explode, but that is usually due to energy saturation.
Either way, it's bad.
Yes,
Yes.
obviously. Yes. But anyway, as the author of this fanfic we're about to read says, time is relative. We're 2 hours in, let's begin.
Oh god.
Oh
just
my
wrap?
fucking god, I didn't realize how long it's been on.
It's 8:54. Let's just wrap.
You see, here on Fanfiction Contempt Theater, we spin as many stories as we read. Wait, there's a debate going on in 5 minutes? Damn. Shit. Who the fuck is doing that?
Who's debating?
Oh, wait, is this gonna be Vance
Isn't that
versus
the
Walls?
dock workers?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's
Vance
what he said.
Vance pulls out a gun, shoots walls.
I wish.
That would be such a fucking debate, though. Just you get what you fucking deserve. Bang.
Yeah, it'd be a debate in the old-fashioned sense, like they used
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, it's Vance and Walls. Oh God.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
return to form on that. I'm okay with that.
I can't wait until the southern redneck who lived in the north gets to debate the child toucher. Allegedly.
Oh God, that's Walls.
Yes.
Mm.
My Hero Temporal Hero Course. I'm sure this will be a great story. After the failed
Okay.
capture of the King of Crime, 28-year-old Deku. Oh, so we're just gonna arbitrarily age Deku up to send him back in time. Oh, I love
Yeah, of
stories like this. They are so fucking riveting when my character experiences all of their character growth off screen. That's my favorite part of stories, is when I don't get to see any of the character growth.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It's the fucking best. Yeah, that's what I read stories for, is
It
to
happened
not
off
see the
screen, it's
characters
great.
grow. Don't worry,
It's the
guys. They
Rooster
got into a
Teeth
gay
method.
relationship off screen.
Yeah, it's the Rooster Teeth storytelling method. 100%. It works just fine.
Don't worry, guys. Ruby got certified as a chemist off screen.
Ruby got forklift certified off screen.
Honestly, I want the moderators to be very biased. It would be the most hilarious thing ever. I mean, yeah.
You know they're gonna fucking be.
Oh, I mean, that's like, oh man, I really hope the water's wet. I guess it's technically true that time is relative. That's mostly in the sense of physics. Well, time is actually very concrete.
Human
But there's
perception
also-
of time, on the other hand.
Well, no, actually, it's everything's perception of time. It's very non-bending.
Mm. I'll tell you what. Which is gonna feel longer? 5 seconds with your hands on a hot woman, or 5 seconds with your hands on a hot stove?
See, the difference there is what our brain chooses to remember.
Your brain's gonna remember both. It's that in the
Actually,
moment,
No, actually, the
don't
fun.
want that pain.
No, see, actually, the fun thing is the brain doesn't actually remember them both equally. Human brains are engineered
it
to
tries to
remember
forget
negative
pain.
things more. And
It
prioritize
remembers
negative things.
events more. It does not, however, remember pain more. It tries to forget pain.
Oh yeah, it tries to forget pain,
Like,
but it
your brain
remembers the
actively
event
tries
more.
to forget it.
Yeah, no, so, but point being is that you'll remember the touch of the woman as a fleeting thing, and it happened in an instant and it was gone. But you'll remember that time you held your hand on the oven for 30 minutes. It was 5 seconds. Mr. Vance, can you clarify your feelings on couches? Time dilation is a very odd thing because it's not even that we're observing time slower or faster. It's that our brains are interpreting that time in a different speed. Because we can't actually react slower or faster. And the amount of time that's passing isn't more or less. It's just our brains are being really gremlin-y creatures.
I mean, everyone's had one of those moments, right, where something happens and then bam, your brain kicks in and it's like everything goes into bullet time. You're moving faster, you're perceiving faster. You do in fact move a little bit faster, but that's only because your brain has gone, okay, turn the limiters off. We need to move now.
Well, I mean, yeah, dumping adrenaline into your system, but I wouldn't really call that you reacting faster beyond, like, normal time. Like,
No, it is proven. They've done experiments on this. You will react somewhat faster because of
Right,
this, and it's
but
not just adrenaline.
it's not just adrenaline. There's a fucking enormous list of cocktails of chemicals that your brain dumps into
Well,
your body.
it's not just the chemicals. It's the mental limiters on your muscles, your tendons, and all that. You know, all the shit that your brain does to keep you from
Typically-
hurting your stupid
Typically,
self.
people
Hmm.
Yeah, it can turn those off.
right, but what I'm saying is 5 seconds passing isn't more or less than 5 seconds passing, regardless
No.
of your experience of it. It's still 5 seconds. Now it is, however, as we're finding out, locally relative. 5 seconds passing on Earth is actually not 5 seconds on Mars. As we're finding out.
Did they? Wait, did they actually prove that?
So we're just further proving Einstein's relativity theory again.
The gravity thing.
Yes, but it's absurdly minute. Like we're talking about like a drift of like 0.0003 seconds.
And they're not saying that can't be accounted for in lag.
No, because we did it using nuclear atom testing. Basically, we had one plane travel farther away from the Earth at the same speed as the plane traveling closer to the Earth, and the plane that was traveling farther away from the Earth had their atoms decay at a slower rate than the plane traveling closer to the Earth. Going the same speed, so that whole part of the equation was already accounted for.
Speed wasn't a variable, yes.
Yeah. But then on top of that, they also did the speed test. They found out that if you go faster, you decay slower. Because, fuck you.
So if we just go fast enough, we stop aging.
If we go fast enough far enough away from a gravity well, we would technically experience time in a slower manner. Yes.
So what you're saying is humans were right all along in our impulse to go faster.
Yeah, sure. But again, the problem here is that because time is relative to your location, you being outside of the bubble of the sun would not have time pass for you, but 100 years would pass on Earth. So it wouldn't be very useful because we experience time by it passing. So if we ever reached a location in where time passed slower, our experience of time would be slower. We wouldn't get more hours in the day because the day would literally just take more time to occur. And all of our actions would take more time to occur.
Well, you would think that from your perspective as that person outside the bubble, your perception of time would in fact remain. Like 24 hours is 24 hours, 60 seconds is 60 seconds by ship time, right?
Right,
but if you're looking back at Earth,
right.
It would seem to be going faster.
Right, but here's the thing though, is if we're correct in our guesses when it comes to the decay of nuclear atoms literally going slower the faster you go and the farther away from a gravity well you are, then our cellular activity would also be going slower the faster we go and the farther away from a gravity well we are. So for us, what
Yes,
might
but that
seem
would
like a
also mean
minute...
per...
No. For us, what might seem like a minute in terms of comprehending time, if we're, say, outside of the sun's bubble, 100 years inside of the sun's bubble might have occurred. But for us, only a minute has passed.
Yes.
Now, I would
What
absolutely
I was
abuse
about
this
to say was-
feature so I could read all of the fan fiction that takes so long to fucking update.
Challenge level impossible. These people would die before. It finished.
Well, then I don't need to
You
finish
find out
reading the
how to end up
fanfic.
updated in
No,
50
you don't
years.
understand. It's the perfect completion. Either the author dies and they never finish the fanfic, so I don't need to read any more of it because it'll never be finished, or they complete the story finally after 100 years.
And then the site goes offline, and you wonder where the hell it went.
Don't worry, we'll be able to find it. Unless a nuclear storm approaches.
The way that
Universe is
machine-
fucked up. I mean, honestly, I think the most concerning thing that will never happen in any lifetime of our entire civilization, is what. So right now, our sun is actually existing in a reality bubble inside of another sun's reality bubble, and that sun's
inside of a
fucking
black hole's reality bubble.
Well, yes, but that sun's reality bubble is fucking massive, and the important part about the reality bubble is it prevents other reality bubbles from eroding away everything in that area. And this happens.
At least that's the theory.
Yes, but no, because we're actually getting a lot of data out of the James Webb Telescope and the 2 Voyagers. As far as that goes.
Didn't one of those stop sending?
Oh, no, it started sending back corrupted code.
Yeah, it started speaking gibberish.
Ah, that's not worrying at all.
No.
Ah, it's fine.
Apparently, the problem with fixing it is that it takes a month for the signal to get to it, and then another month for the signal to come back to tell us what happened when the signal got to it.
So if they reboot it, it'll be 2 months before it reboots, as far as we're concerned.
No, even more. God forbid we had to fucking reboot it. Because the thing is we're talking about literally, like 50 bytes of code being sent over a fucking tight beam radio wave. It taking a month to travel there. It incorporates this 50 bytes of data and then sends a beam back in the span of like 10 seconds. And that takes another month to travel back to us. So if it, God forbid it had to fucking reboot, can you fucking imagine it having to reboot? We would be out of commission for like 6 months on that thing.
Well, no, we'd send a 50K or 50 byte string of a command, whatever the fuck, right? It gets it. It sends an acknowledgement, which we'll get in a month. But then it starts rebooting. The reboot process takes maybe 10, 20 minutes. It reboots, and then it shoots off another message. I've restarted.
Right, but the problem
It
is
would
all
take
the
a-
objects in between us. So part of the reason why it takes so long is part of its travel time, but the other part of it is planets getting in the way of us being able to talk to it.
Maneuvering around stuff in between and having to... Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
We apparently do special GPS sats to account for time dilation in the Earth. Yeah, we actually have to dilate our GPS satellites for because they're out just far enough to fuck with the fucking timers inside them. Yeah, just enough. But anyway, point B. So giant fucking sun has a reality bubble. It's protecting our sun's reality bubble from, because the problem is all the other suns are also shooting out just vast quantities of death. And it's balancing off of the larger sun's reality bubble, which is protecting our sun's reality bubble, which is way weaker than all the other sun's reality bubbles. And inside of this reality bubble, we're only going to be here in the larger sun's reality bubble for like another 500 million years. And then it's going to be like 75 million years before we reach the next reality bubble of another large sun.
What?
Ooh.
And during the scientists are estimating that during that period of time that we are in between reality bubbles of other larger suns, Earth might lose the ability to sustain life in the future. Not because
So
of
we'll
our
just get
actions or anything.
nuked.
Yeah, literally the being outside of the protective umbrella of the larger sun might expose Earth to so much radiation that its atmosphere and everything will be stripped from it.
Like all the
So what
cosmic
I'm hearing
radiation
is
just
we need
blows the
to
atmosphere off.
prevent that.
Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like 500 million years in the future. It's literally not gonna be our problem. It is literally not gonna be our problem.
Better point. I don't think our tech is anywhere near what it needs to be to even start prototyping what they would need to
Bro,
fix.
our tech
No, we need
can't
to leave
even.
Earth.
No, not even that. Not even that. Our tech can't even resist our own sun radioactive blasting us. Like,
Yeah, like
and that shit's baby level. That's tutorial. That sun is literally the tutorial level.
Oh god.
We can't even make tech. We can't even make tech that beats the tutorial level yet. We ain't got shit on some of these bigger suns, man.
Give it time. We'll hopefully get there, maybe, in 500 million years. Well, in 400 million years, hopefully.
But
Even
yeah,
extra
it's,
100 million years for building.
some of that shit's just fucking wild. Where it's just like, damn, universe is crazy. Also, the James Webb Telescope apparently can just see back in time by like billions of years because of how light works and the speed of light.
I mean, all we're capable of that as well with our just
Yeah,
our
with
eyes.
our Mark 1 eyeball, yes, I'm aware. But I'm more talking about that the James Webb Telescope found a galaxy as it's being created post Big Bang. Like, the galaxy is so far away that the light finally reaching us from it is from the fucking creation of some of the first galaxies.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. It does change the fact that your statement of look back in time is applicable to anything that views light the way we do, but
Right, but like we're
how
not physically
far
capable
away
of seeing
is
it without. Oh, it's ludicrously far away. But like what I'm saying is the telescope is able to see back in time. Is we're not able to see that. Like if we had a normal telescope and we looked in the direction of that galaxy, we wouldn't be able to see it. But because of how the James Webb Telescope focuses light into its fucking little camera core, it's able to see it. There are photons out there old enough to make an elder god blush. Yeah, there absolutely are. It's insane. It's also insane how we've actually figured out question mark, obviously. We figured out how black holes collapse question mark.
Ooh,
Question mark.
good.
Yeah,
I
well, I
always
mean,
love hearing that we might have figured another thing out about black holes because they are legitimately one of the most terrifying things that the universe just spawns.
yeah, so the reason why black holes question mark might question mark collapse is actually because they're eating negative quantum foam.
Ah,
Wait,
yeah, I get
Interesting.
it.
wait, no, hang on. I thought you're not supposed to touch that.
Yeah.
No,
So
you're not.
basically, what's happening is that near black holes, matter and antimatter are being generated, and the black hole is sucking up the antimatter before it can hit the matter and negate itself. And that's why the black hole eventually collapses, is it ate too much antimatter.
Because the antimatter is reacting with the matter inside the black hole.
And so the black hole's actually minorly reversing entropy. as it's eating everything around it.
It is
Unironically,
quite
yes.
literally undoing itself. Okay.
it is
So isn't-
it is deleting itself from reality.
Like, isn't there one basically hurtling towards our general solar system, like a giant fucking shuriken through the void that they found?
It's not heading towards our solar system, it's heading towards our galaxy, and it just so happens that the accretion disk is the size of our galaxy.
Yeah, it's big, big.
It is a big motherfucker.
Like, we
Yes.
thought that the center of the Milky Way was a, air quotes, supermassive black hole, and then we found this motherfucker that apparently decided that it wasn't gonna wait for shit to come to it.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty much eventually gonna get here, hit the galaxy, and just either eat it or carry it along in its wake in whatever direction it's going.
Yeah, we're either gonna become a Katamari Danmachi ornament, or we're getting deleted.
Many such cases.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating bit of dialogue to return to.
No, we're just discussing the horrors of the universe known as black holes.
Ah,
Accretion
What could
disk
go
as
wrong?
big as our galaxy. Yeah. The black hole is a little big.
Just a wee bit.
remember, kids,
Just a smidge.
if you
Ah.
stay on the edge of the black hole,
You live
You're-
forever.
No, don't do that.
The
Don't-
other
don't do
fun,
that.
another fun cosmological event that's going to occur in the next couple of 100 million years is so a galaxy exploded because their supermassive black hole at the center exploded. We don't know what caused that,
Which
but we
wonderful.
do know
it ain't
that
too
it
much antimatter.
well, no, because the ones that eat too much antimatter just wink out of existence. That one exploded.
but it is good news. New galaxy.
No, it's actually terrible news. Because it effectively put out a shockwave of star gas.
Are you
That
telling me this
is
is how we get Tyranids?
No, I'm telling you that how to put this
Shit is McFucked.
Yeeted a blast of gas in our general direction, and we're gonna die from a cosmic fart.
So imagine if a nuclear bomb went off inside your house and you weren't killed by anything part of the bomb, you were killed by the shockwave of air. That's what's going to
That's bad.
happen to our galaxy. Is a fucking shockwave nebula is heading on a collision course for us as well.
Well, no, hang on. How far away is
Come
this
on,
thing?
Sneaky. Who cares? We'll all be fucking dead way before that's
Ludicrously far away. We're talking like in the next like 100 million years. Like,
Okay, then by the time it gets here, it's gonna be so dispersed that I doubt we'll even notice. Like the magnetic bubble around our universe, it's just gonna bounce the
No.
fuck off of that.
see that's the concerning part. Is it's not.
That's the
What do
concerning
you
part.
mean?
It's not dispersing.
Huh? No, it has to disperse. It has to disperse as it travels through space, Sneaky.
Yeah, the shockwave that's sending it forward is just picking up everything in its wake.
Oh dear.
It's eating.
It's not eating so much as it's still compressing the air in front of it.
It's a bulldozer.
Yeah,
the
we haven't
galaxy's largest killdozer.
It hasn't reached maximum compression yet from last I checked on whatever fucking website that was 10 years ago.
So it's got to hit max compression before it starts decompressing. Ugh.
Yeah. They, from what I read, was it's gonna hit our galaxy and either blow us apart in terms of hitting us so hard that the gravity well of our black hole won't matter anymore. Which is fucking terrifying.
A little bit.
Or it's gonna hit the black hole and get eaten by it, causing a super chain reaction, causing the entire Milky Way to slowly sink into the black hole. Because right now, we're actually being flung away from the black hole from the sheer momentum of the black hole's gravity well. But if it gets an injection of mass, it could quickly grow larger than the current momentum of its gravity well, causing everything that was going to be blown away from the black hole to be eaten instead.
So what I'm hearing is we successfully drifted with the black hole.
Yes, we're drifting right now. We are literally parallel drifting an entire Milky Way arm around a black hole.
What could go wrong?
Excellent.
Eurobeat intensifies.
Yes, indeed. So we have a death nebula cloud coming towards us. We have a black hole shuriken coming at us, and at some point in time, we will leave the safe reality bubble we're currently occupying under the larger sun's giant umbrella and be bombarded with sheer radioactive solar wind.
So we're fucked 6 ways from Sunday, is what you're saying.
All I am saying is I'm starting to understand why we might not see any aliens.
Yeah, that might do it. The galaxy is not a safe place.
Like, can you imagine? You're just traveling along, at like hyper death speed 9,000, and it's like, oh, I guess we died, and you're like, well, what do you mean we died? We're still alive. It's like, yeah, but the black hole just ate the highway, and we impacted it at maximum speed, so actually, we're still going to be alive for the next 100 years as we slowly get spaghettified. It's like, oh.
We're dead.
That's
We just
horrifying.
haven't processed it yet. We died. We got hit so hard, we started reincarnating before we died.
I think that's actually a plot of a light novel I saw.
I'm sure it is. Terrifying.
Yes, thank you, Aura, for my favorite achievement unlocked.
You said so. I forget what you said exactly. You said something nuclear. I'm like, where's that?
Yeah,
where's
nuke went
that
off
clip?
in your room, yeah.
Yes.
You survived the nuke. It's like, what the fucking achievement? What the fuck?
No.
Survived the nuke.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? That's how we all get introduced to the gamer system. You've earned an epic achievement. Survived the nuke. Survived the what?
I'm not Sid. What the fuck?
Sitting there.
You received
gamer
a second
system.
achievement.
Survived the nuke.
You've unlocked a second legendary. You've unlocked a legendary achievement. Survived the alien invasion. The what?
The
The
what?
moment you said it, I'm like, where's that damn video? I have it somewhere.
Spam the EDF deploys constantly, and you will live.
Indeed. Anyway, I want to actually get through this story so we can at least say we read one.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll make it.
We might not make it, but I want to at least try.
He wants to pretend that he tried.
I want to pretend I tried. 28-year-old Deku is whisked back in time to UA during his second year conveniently. While his young and curious friends hound him for the information, the new symbol of peace must work how he traveled back in time. I mean, does it really matter? But resting is out of the question as the notorious Chaos King plots to destroy the symbol of peace from the future.
The Chaos King, huh?
Calm down, Shadow.
I feel like after the entire plot line of My Hero Academia, which the lesson that I interpreted from that is sometimes you actually just have to kill the villain.
I think we have to kill this guy. Literally, there's no redeeming this man.
Yeah, some people just can't be redeemed. It was the lesson I took away from My Hero Academia.
Some people can be redeemed. Some people are Bakugo and don't deserve redemption ever.
I'm
Okay, that's a
really
little-
heavily judging how you can have a future with criminal kings being able to pose that much of a threat still.
You can't.
Yeah. But anyway, 48 chapters, 188,000 words. 79 reviews and 207 favorites. They wrote this over the course of 4 years, so that's about 10 chapters, 12 chapters a year, which is, you know, of course, 1 chapter a month. And at 190k words with 48 chapters, we're talking about what? Times 2, 4, so 4k words per chapter ish.
I guess.
Around that.
Sounds right.
So 4k words once a month. Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah. Time is relative. It can be fixed, so certain events must occur. I hate that. I hate that interpretation. I fucking despise that interpretation. Like, Mount Vesuvius destroying Pompeii. Yes, that was inevitable because that's a natural force. I mean, it's like, there's not much you can really do, to prevent a volcano from exploding. Kind of just, the only thing you can really do is not be there. So, I mean, I suppose if you had a mass evacuation of Pompeii, you could prevent the mass death that occurred at Pompeii, but, like...
You couldn't prevent the geological event that happened.
Well, not only that, it's not like Pompeii being destroyed, like, was an important historical event. Like, it was important because of the atrocity that happened. But it wasn't like, oh, because Pompeii destroyed, the Rome's economy collapsed, causing these things to happen. It's like, no, Pompeii
I mean,
got
it did
destroyed
cause
and-
a few. It did cause quite a few people that were important to the Empire to die. There were a
Sure.
few yes,
Sure, but, like,
I'm not
you know.
disagreeing that it's not like the end point for the world, like not the fucking end point for the world, the end point for the Roman Empire, but it did not fucking help.
Sure, but what I'm saying is, it is not part of the domino meme. You know, it's not the small domino that caused the fall of the Roman Empire. That was for completely different societal, economic factors and reasons.
Damn.
Can I kick
It's
that
not
man?
the butterfly.
Yeah,
Who are we kicking?
Kaz.
Oh, you still don't have soundboards off.
No, because I enjoy it.
Hi, Cruel.
Like roll. But anyway, the fall of Rome. Now that is definitely a more actionable thing. There was a lot of factors that led to the fall of Rome. Not all of them are mitigatable, but honestly, at the end of the day, the fall of Rome was caused by the corruption of the nobles and the fact that they literally let the barbarians into Rome. They opened the gates. So a significant change in history could quite literally just be caused by you killing the nobles and not opening the gates. Rome would still likely fall, but for completely different circumstances, completely different reasons, with completely different rippling effects.
Just pull a Pax Romana and make the Roman Empire eternal with the time machine. What's wrong?
Yeah, right, totally.
Polish.
But my
What?
point is more this completely destroys the Doctor Who propaganda about time and fixed events. Is that yes, Rome would still technically fall. It is still a fixed event, but the reasons why Rome fell and the after effects of Rome's fall and when it would fall and why it would fall would be radically different and would cause a radically different chain reaction going forward in terms of the opinions and actions of the populations to this event, which would radically change the future. Like, just because Rome fell anyway doesn't mean that the future is unchanged still. Like, it completely destroys the fixed event narrative. The chaos of the Crusades weren't chaotic. They just weren't.
Okay, I know what he's saying when he says that, but the Fourth Crusade and the First Crusade were exceptions rather than the rule. Actually, no, wait, that's not a good... no.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the Crusades. The Crusades...
Barring the Children's Crusade, the Paupers Crusade, and the one crusade, I think it was the Seventh Crusade, where they looted their own city.
That was a Fourth Crusade. That was one where they just looted Constantinople.
Yeah.
Constantinople deserved it.
Instructions unclear. Looted Constantinople.
They've done that a few times.
Point being though is that they weren't overly chaotic. They were fairly directed. They actually did in fact achieve a lot of the goals they were aiming for. And the reason why you don't really see that is because no one really wrote down the new maps, I guess is the best way to put it. Like the maps where the Muslims took land and the Crusades took it back, no one spent the time updating the maps to show that the Muslims took this land before the Crusades took it back.
Well, no, because that would mean admitting that they lost that land.
Well, not just admitting that they lost the land, but also because making maps is a very expensive affair back in the day, and if you're the side that owns that land, technically, by your words, you wouldn't really update the map to show that someone else besides you owns the land. Not as a admitting defeat thing, but as a literal, why would I tell people that I didn't own the land?
Yeah, why would I pay money to tell someone, hey, I lost?
Yeah. So, the war for independence was a fixed event. It absolutely wasn't. It absolutely wasn't. Quite literally, the war for independence could have been stopped if they lowered the tax by 0.2%.
Or if they just didn't tax tea.
Oh no, the tea was always taxed. The problem was they raised the tax from 1.4% to 1.6%.
Alright.
And we said this is ridiculous. Either lower the tax back to what it was, or give us more representation because now more of our money's being taken. And the British said, no, we're not going to do either. And then we said, we really think you should. No, we're not going to do it. We really think you should.
We really believe you should.
Yeah, with respect, we really believe you should. We're not going to do it. Okay, look, so we're going to send diplomats over who really think you should do it. Yeah, we're still not doing it. Okay, we are begging you to do it. No, we're not doing it. Okay, we're throwing your tea from this one shipment into the bay. We're shooting you. Alright, I guess we're declaring independence. After we send you another strongly worded letter really asking you to heavily consider lowering the tax by 0.2%. We're not doing it. Alright, fine, fuck it.
Like,
telling you we're gonna do it!
Like, can you please lower the taxes on stamps? We kind of need to, do our job. No.
That was
get representation in Congress. No.
Like that's what they don't really teach about the whole War of Independence thing, is that for years we were sending them letter after letter after letter being like, look guys.
Well, because it's more heroic.
We really think you should not do this.
Well, Sneaky, the reason
Also-
they don't is because it's more heroic to see the British as, oh, we're just going to shoot you because
Yes,
you complained once.
Yes, obviously, but I mean, even after we had the whole massacre event, Boston Massacre, we still sent them strongly worded letters saying, "Hey guys, this kind of got out of hand, but we really think you should,
we're still
not
British-
push."
We are still British subjects. Please allow us to do what our government allows us to do. And they're just like, no. King George
Yeah.
was just like, you know
And
what? I'm going to be
then-
a
even
fucking
then-
retard.
Even then, it was only 3% of the people that actually rose up and started fighting at first.
Yeah. And then it turned into 7% by the end, which is still wild to think about that only 7% of the people rose up against the British Empire, and the other 93% were just like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm American now."
And it only
That wasn't
took
that. Okay, that's a
3%.
little. That's
Yeah.
not. No,
The-
that's not
yeah.
what
That's
happened.
accurate.
Yeah, that is what happened. A very small minority of people actually even contributed to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, there were some people who were like, well, I'm really not going to do this. And then the British came knocking on the doors. Oi, mate, we need you to host some troops in your house. Well, then,
And
I'm
originally
not
they
gonna
were
go.
like-
Also, they're
Mexican
gonna
that says
eat your
no.
food and fuck your wife.
Well, the word again. This is
No.
another propaganda thing. Is that actually it was only one British general that was throwing people out of their homes and eating all of their food and stealing their money. and
It
beating
was.
people
in
It
the streets.
was definitely just
One
one.
was
dude.
Well, I'm aware one is enough, but it's like the whole thing like all the British were doing. It's like no, one guy did it, but
And
that
then
just pissed a
everyone-
lot of people off.
Enough people got pissed
Oh,
off
yeah.
that they were just like, yeah, no, fuck the British. And then, of course, the British had to eventually court-martial him. Actually, did he ever get court-martialed?
No, actually, he got commendated.
Of course he fucking did.
Of course
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
Because I will say one derogatory thing about the British. They have no idea how to find good officers. Unless it's literally them being
Perfidious
pushed against a
Samuel.
fucking wall.
Yeah,
nothing-
that dude was also a Nepo baby. And the funniest fucking thing of it all is the guy that beat him was a previous British officer
Yeah, that makes sense.
who hated the British because they whipped him 500 times for daring to be a civilian attachment to the British Army during their war against the French and the French-Indian War.
Mhm.
He was an attachment to a British caravan. He was transporting supplies at the time.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a lieutenant or something, marched up to him and started like giving him orders and shit. And he's like, "No, I'm a civilian. I don't listen to you. I'm gonna deliver these supplies to where I was told to." And he's like,
And
"No,
it's
fuck
like,
you.
The
Fucking kiss my
lower cla-
boots."
Like the
Yeah.
lower classes.
Yeah, and so he like fucking smacked the guy, and he the dude was like, "Okay, yeah, not having any of this shit," and knocked the guy out.
Base.
And so the British were like, "I can't believe you would dare hit your superior military officer. 500
Hey,
lashes."
Good job for hitting that one, but we still have to punish you.
And so they lashed him 500
I'm not a
times
British officer.
in succession, which is a death sentence to most people.
Oh.
But to him, it didn't kill him because he has plot
Bro.
armor.
Bro is built different.
Bro was literally built different.
I think bro just had spite.
He was quoted saying, until his grave, every time he told the story, that there was multiple eyewitnesses corroborating this, is he stayed conscious for all 500 lashes and did not scream out in pain. Instead, he counted alongside the British officer to make sure they got every single one in.
Holy fuck.
Thank you, sir. May I
That
have
is
another?
metal. That is metal as fuck.
And he insists until his grave that the British didn't lash him the final time, and they only got him for 499.
He may have been delirious.
Maybe.
He might have been, but bro.
I don't know. That just sounds like he was spitting in their face. Doesn't matter if it was true or not.
Yes, exactly.
That is just metal as fuck.
That's just that
Oh, it's
extra
not-
little flick on the nose on his way out.
Oh, that's not real? These lights aren't, though.
But I mean, he had other great events, such as the time that the British American War, when we fought Quebec. I believe this was the start of the Independence War.
Sneaky, get it right. We humored Quebec.
No, actually, we got our shit kicked in.
No, we got our shit cooked.
Biggest defeat.
Benedict Arnold did not know what the fuck he was doing.
We lost half of our troops by the time we even got to Quebec. And then Benedict Arnold did know what he was doing. The problem is that it was this dude and Benedict Arnold, and half the army went with him and half the army went with this dude, because this dude was 6'4" and like 300 pounds of muscle, and so people were like, yeah, we kind of want to follow that guy. And he was like, I don't want to lose this power, and I think it's really cool that people want to follow me, so I'm going to tell the General Benedict Arnold to his face that I don't care about the rank that the United States gave me. I'm not listening to you. I'm taking my guys and doing this. And Benedict Arnold, not being 6'4" and 300 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, was like, okay, I'm not going to fight you on this one. In any sense of the word.
But you are going to get them all killed.
Actually, it was the opposite. You see, main character decided that the whole Quebec thing was really stupid, but orders were orders, so he did it anyway. And Benedict Arnold came up with this plan that he was going to attack from the west, and this guy was going to attack from the east, or whichever. And so they both charged the fortifications of Quebec at the same time, of Montreal at the same time, and Benedict Arnold got one-hit KO'd by a musket ball in the first charge.
Yeah, he kind of got McFuckled.
Oof.
Meanwhile,
it was both incredibly lucky and incredibly unlucky.
Chad McChattington also charged the front line with his men and took musket fire to the face, as well as Benedict Arnold did, except his musket ball went through the back of his jaw and out his mouth.
So it killed him.
No, it knocked his teeth out.
Was this man George Washington?
No. This dude he just had plot armor. He served under George Washington, and George Washington specifically asked for him to come out of retirement and come into the U.S. military and lead the U.S. military in their first war because of how much of a Chad he was. And George Washington was like, dude, you're an absolute fucking Chad. You used to be special forces. Can you go lead this group of special forces and do special forces shit? And he's like, yeah, I can do that.
A special forces unit protects George Washington.
Jesus Christ, this guy is like what's that that's Finnish sniper's name? Simo, whoever's.
Yeah, Simo, yeah.
Former incarnation or something.
Yeah,
Both those fuckers took a bullet to the jaw.
So he successfully managed to take his half of the city, waited 6 hours, and then realized that Benedict Arnold had abandoned him completely. And was like, fuck. Guys,
okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I mean, he didn't fucking abandon. He got shot and had to leave.
I would say he lost. Yeah. Let's be clear. He didn't abandon him. He lost.
Well, no. So what happened was Benedict Arnold died on the first charge, and then during the second charge, Benedict Arnold's second in command died, and then the third charge.
Benedict Arnold died on the first charge.
Yeah. And then the second in command died in the second charge. and then the third and fourth guys got shot but didn't die in the third charge, and then the people behind them were like, okay, we keep getting fucking shot, maybe we should retreat. So they did, and abandoned the other guy's army to,
So it wasn't Benedict Arnold, it was just, the army got their shit kicked in.
Yeah, bro rolled a low deck save.
Bro didn't just roll a
right,
low deck save, rolled the lowest fucking deck save.
So yeah. Anyway, he had to fight his way out of Montreal after
Anyway, I
fighting
thought
his
we
way
were trying
into
to finish
Montreal.
one fucking story.
No, we're
Yeah,
talking
well,
about
I
history
am.
now. Fuck you.
I'm talking about other stories now. But yeah. Anyway,
Real
point being,
stories.
he had to surrender. Because he was the officer in charge, his entire army surrendered. But because he was the officer in charge, and the British were all about their whole, hoity-toity morality shit, they didn't want to shoot the officer in charge, because that looks bad. And so they're trying to get him to surrender, but he was holding them at sword point and not doing that. And then a Catholic priest was wandering by the area that he was being surrounded in, and he ran past the guys pointing their guns at him and handed his sword to the Catholic priest and said, "I will not surrender to you rapscallions, but I will to this man of the cloth."
That was actually pretty
Whoa.
common, because prisoners' rights were technically a thing, but they were really more of a gentle suggestion. But if they basically by surrendering to a man of the cloth, the priest was duty bound to make sure that that dude and his men were treated well and fairly, and it put an additional onus on the British troops of, hey, you can't mistreat those guys because God's watching, because the
Yeah.
priest is there.
And so they offered him a job because, the entire British military officer school is just a giant incest nepo baby pool. They're like, hey, we remember you from the time you used to work for us. Do you want to work for us again? And he was like, I would rather be shot and strung and quartered than to ever work for you again. And they're like,
We
okay.
can do that.
Yes.
Well, then you're just going to go back into the really cushy prison filled with lots of amenities because you're an officer and not one of the plebs. And him,
Officer
being a
privileges.
pleb, was like, yes, I am absolutely an officer and not one of the plebs. Bro had no official education. Bro had no nobility. Bro had no bloodline or house. He was just appointed the rank he was appointed by George Washington on the spot because he's like, yo, hey, please come back.
Heard you was a badass and we need that.
Yeah, so, yeah, good times. Anyway, War for Independence. Well, I mean, this was kind of relevant because the dude's basing his entire premise of the story on the War of Independence and how it's a fixed event. And how it could have changed if someone went back in time. Or someone could have changed the Crusades with fewer consequences should the wrong king or sultan intervene or disappear.
Sure.
I think you're vastly overestimating a lot of things right there on the Crusades end, but even quirks and the rise of quirk society could be fluid. I mean, again, not really. I mean, when you have the fucking, unless you go out back and assassinate the glowing baby, but instead of a glowing baby, you get people that like shoot fucking lasers from their eyes. Nothing really changes except you don't have a religion around a glowing baby anymore. I mean, we never really saw the glowing baby religion do anything in the main canon line, so you can't really even say having the glowing baby religion not exist anymore would even change anything, because we don't know. So you have to invent all of that, so that kind of actually undermines your own point as well, author. This whole thing is really poorly thought out, and you're really basing your examples off of ideas that absolutely have no fucking bearing on anything. Like, what if the War for Independence was different? It's like, I'm sorry, but we won the War for Independence Not because we were good at fighting. We
We
won
won
the
it because
war.
we were lucky as fuck.
Yeah, we rolled like nat 20s like multiple times throughout the entire war in consecutive strings.
People are like, oh yeah, we would have won by ourselves. Like, no. France fucking pulled hard.
Well, that and the battle for Saratoga, that was actually pretty huge. But point being, though, is it's not like, well, what if we just did better? It's like, then we would have won. And nothing would have changed. Like, we would have had to win so hard that France didn't feel the need to intervene for history to change. Because it was France intervening that caused history to go the way it did in Europe.
Like, you gotta understand, France gave us guns, France gave us training, France gave us food.
They fucking fought the British and distracted them.
Well, more importantly, they gave us boats. Like, we were... Listen, we might have been able to survive if they didn't give us guns and they didn't give us food. We were 100% cooked without the French fucking Navy. Like...
Oh yeah, they blockaded a lot of fucking
we didn't
ports, yeah.
have a navy.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like, if we didn't have the French Navy, we were 2,000% cooked.
Yeah, so, like, the thing is, right, like, could things have changed? Yeah, massively in massive directions, but the result is we lose the War of Independence, and then the British nation drags everyone down with it, and we win the War of Independence 60 years later, because the British Empire collapses. So, like, that's such a radical change, though, that you would have to basically erase all of history up until that point for you to like make that, and that just like there is just so much behind that sort of thing. But on the flip side, we have to win by such a margin for anything to change. If we lose, very thin margin, we lose, massive changes. We win, doesn't change, 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 changes. Like, we have to win by such a massive margin compared to what we have to lose by for anything to change. It's like not even a good example to use because of the events behind. Like, if you're basing your entire story off of what ifs for the fucking War of Independence, and that's why Izuku going back in time to go fight the Chaos King, King of Crime shit, like, is that a child holding on to him? Oh, that is. It's Eri. Eri's voice actor died, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
Bro, you can't just drop that like that.
Well, she did. Not sorry.
God damn it.
Damn.
God, one day God will punish you for your sins.
Damn. So life really did imitate art, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll just quickly skim through this here. In the 12 years since One for All fully awakened, a new sense of peace fell upon the earth. Brand new heroes dominated the scene, embracing what all might struggle to teach. Heroism is more than sound bites and product endorsements. I mean, okay, but it wasn't new heroes embracing All Might's idea. It was old heroes literally getting genocided by the end of the story, and the people that filled the gaps embraced the new ideas. It wasn't like, oh, we had a little itsy-bitsy culture shift. It was like, no, we had a genocide, and the people that were left had different ideas about how to do this. That's a little bit of a descriptive difference, but okay, we're just gonna skip over the genocide part. Heroism would always be about saving people and bringing joy and hope to those who need it. Okay, yeah, sure, yes. While the ever-eternal battle against good and evil. Why are we fighting good?
Because we can't have good things.
I guess, yeah. That doesn't. Okay. Many heroes and aspiring ones all remembered the road taken to get to this point. That's patently false. No one ever remembers that road. The only people that remember that road are the ones that survive it. And that's why everything always gets worse. Because all the lessons are forgotten. Every single time. The rebirth of the symbol of peace was not an event easily celebrated, as it had coincided with a dark moment in Japanese history. Just like the original symbol of peace? Bro? Did you read this story? Did... Okay, Alright, so we got another guy who's gonna write a time travel Peggy Stu story in which he has never read the original canon. That's impressive. I'm gonna be honest. It's that's impressive.
I would
There's
argue it's
something.
mostly depressing.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. When the new symbol of peace was reborn, the world realized how broken it was. No. No.
No, that's a lie.
No.
That- Also, that was just Japan. Like, the rest of the world was pretty much fine. Like, pretty much just Japan having a bad day again.
Well,
Japan
no,
has a
All
bad
Might,
day again.
All Might really was a symbol for peace for the entire world, but Japan was hit the worst by his everything. Canonically.
Yes, but he only worked in Japan. Like, there wasn't.
No, he worked in America for a time.
Yes, but America wasn't relying on him to stop crime.
Yeah.
No.
He was there for a while and then he left, and then America kept being fine after he left.
Because America has guns and people were actually using them against the criminals.
No, it
Well,
has nothing to do with that.
We don't act. I believe that's fanon. I love the fanon. If that, I love that fanon, but I believe that is just fanon. What is canon, however, is that Stars and Stripes kind of just fucking killed the criminals. She,
Stars and Stripes coming in saying, "Come on and slam," fucking on someone's head.
literally Fusroda. Yeah.
No, come on, Sneaky, get it right. Fusro dunk.
The dunk.
Don't.
Fucking
Yeah.
coming in with the chaos dunk.
Except the dunk is your head.
Yeah. But anyway, point being though is that if All Might dies, the rest of the world would be sad, but we wouldn't suddenly see a massive upsurge of criminals. Like no one was living in Brazil being like, I don't know, man, about this crime thing. You know, what if All Might comes here?
Yeah, listen, it's not like Superman
Yeah, he's not
where
Superman.
shit, All Might could show up any second now.
Anyone could be All Might around me. My dog could be All Might.
He could be any one of us.
Fires gun. Bullet bounces off.
You! Me!
He could even be.
But anyway, yeah. So what I'm saying is when All Might stops being the symbol of peace, it's really just Japan that's gonna have a bad day. No other country is really gonna, you know, have riots and mass hero death. I mean, above the norm for the area. So, again, this author is really just inconsistent,
Hmm.
where they're like, it's a really bad day in Japanese history, but when the symbol of peace was reborn, the whole world realized that it was broken, even though it was just Japan having the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but South Korea literally had a feminist cabal of shadow government rich people who wanted to castrate every man and turn them into slave labor so they could
I'm sorry,
create
what?
a matriarchal utopia in South Korea.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
he
100%
doesn't know about
legit.
the 8
Yeah.
goddesses.
Yeah, this all happened.
Yeah, he's not making that one up.
And
Yeah, no,
so,
Google 8 goddesses Korea.
yeah. So this all happened, and a lot of people pointed at that and went, wow, if that shadow organization existed, I wonder what other ones existed. And then a week passed, and no one cared anymore.
What the fuck?
Well, you Googled it, didn't you?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
He Googled it.
Yeah.
I
So, anyway.
I don't even know how to respond to that, genuinely.
Yeah, actually, it's really funny because recently, Genshin Impact had to fire one of its animation artists.
Please don't tell me that they were in on it.
Because she was part of the Eight Goddesses Reborn movement.
Oh my god.
And she had slipped in a dog whistle where she had one of the female characters make the Eight Goddess Reborn Death to All Men symbol. During one frame of the animation.
Noise.
Yeah.
So that didn't go well, I assume.
Oh yeah, she got fired.
Probably not.
Small amount of firing.
Yeah. Turns out that the Chinese men, who are the super majority of the player base, were not huge fans of being told by some Korean slut they should go die. Their words, not mine.
I expect most
I still
people
think you
would
shouldn't have
react
said
poorly in
that.
that situation.
Anyway, it's 10 o'clock. I'm going the fuck
Yeah.
to sleep.
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, the dialogue's garbage, but technically correctly written. Even though actually it's not technically correctly written, because he has two dialogue tags where he chuckled, period, and then sentence, and then not finishing the dialogue sentence, but instead having another dialogue tag to end the dialogue. And he does this on all of his dialogue. He has two dialogue tags for all of his dialogue. Jesus Christ. He's trying. Okay? He's trying. It's just really bad.
Is he French?
No. He's not French, no. Like I said, he's correctly using dialogue tags. Technically. Just like technically you can add a lemon to a cake, but if you don't squeeze the lemon and zest the lemon and add those materials to the cake, you're going to get a very different cake than if you just added a whole lemon to it. What is this fucking dialogue? What the absolute shit? His entrance shocked the villains in the room, with many of them sent to the air by the sheer force of his entrance. Deku wore a gentle smile as dynamite landed. 3 moves to check, asshole. The Chaos King raised his brow. You play chess too? Dynamite's smile widened.
Why is that a fucking...
Nope.
No.
I'm out.
No.
War is
I'm
chess,
gonna put...
in case you haven't figured it out.
You know what?
What?
You know what?
I have a better thing to do. I have to go paint models, so I'm gonna go do that.
I'm
you.
taking a picture of this.
I'm going to go and do something more important than listen to this fucking schlup. If anyone wants to contact me, do it later.
All right, everyone. We'll see you on Friday because there's always more and always.